Doulou Dalu, the power of a book. Hey! Look who's back for more adventures. We love having you here to continue this story that keeps us all awake. Important note, all of this is pure fiction, so don't try any techniques you hear here in real life. Your neighbor might call the cops. This amazing novel and all its rights belong to the original author. We're just the ones giving it voice and drama. Are you enjoying the show? Prove it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and leaving that like that motivates us so much. And if you want VIP access to exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting with things you won't find anywhere else. Chapter 176, Jealousy from Uzaya Gang. Pope, do we really need to give him all of Su Wen's information? Chrysanthemum Douluo cautiously asked. Following Bibi Dong as her guardian before she grew up, Chrysanthemum Douluo was aware of the entanglements between Bibi Dong and Uzaya Gang. Bibi Dong glanced over coldly. Just give him the sources of Su Wen's 4 spirit rings and his spirit skills. Yes, Chrysanthemum Douluo sighed inwardly. As expected, the Pope still takes care of that guy. Spirit skills are a spirit master's privacy. Aside from voluntarily telling others, even if guessed by others during use, it's usually just a rough idea. However, Bibi Dong plans to give Uzaya Gang the intelligence on Su Wen registered in Spirit Hall. If Su Wen, who infiltrated Heaven Dao under a hidden identity as a genius from Spirit Hall, knew about this, it could lead to disloyalty and discord. But it seems Su Wen is under the young master's command, and since the young master does not get along with the Pope, it doesn't seem to matter much. Watching Su Wen being pushed to Jinriksu and having his intelligence given to Uzaya Gang, along with all the previously formulated plans, Chrysanthemum Douluo found it increasingly difficult to understand Bibi Dong's true intentions. To outsiders, all her actions appeared well organized and aimed at strengthening Spirit Hall, but the things she privately allowed contradicted her goals. Chrysanthemum Douluo shook his head internally and stopped pondering. Regardless, they were now tied to the Pope's faction and could only do their best to assist her. Uzaya Gang looked at the information on Su Wen's 4 major spirit rings and spirit skills in his hand and fell into deep thought. The first spirit ring comes from the Starlight Fruit Tree? Lucky guy, encountering such a rare spirit ring in Nuoding City's spirit hunting forest, and the age is top-notch. The second spirit ring comes from a 1000-year phantom fox. Spirit skill, wind and fire element control. The third spirit ring is from a 3000-year stone monster. Spirit skill, stone formation, which also caused the second spirit skill to mutate, adding earth element control. The fourth spirit ring comes from a 7000-year-old bright flower. Spirit skill, healing light. The combination of the first 3 spirit rings alone left Uzaya Gang's mind reeling. While feeling jealous of Su Wen's luck, he also couldn't understand the effectiveness of Su Wen's combinations. Just these 3 spirit skills allowed Su Wen to master so many techniques for using wind and fire elements? Doesn't that mean all of Su Wen's abilities are essentially self-created spirit skills? This made Uzaya Gang even more uncomfortable. Seeing the 4th spirit ring, Uzaya Gang was even more baffled. What kind of strange combination is this? Clearly, after developing the buck martial spirit into combat martial spirit with great difficulty, why pair it with healing light? Although it's normal for Su Wen's well-rounded combat methods to include a healing auxiliary spirit skill, Uzaya Gang felt this didn't align with the balanced or extreme styles he knew. It seemed like a random combination. Even though Su Wen's techniques are comprehensive and he has the capability to add other spirit rings, why not add a powerful water attribute spirit ring? It might increase the chance of mutating the second spirit skill. Although Uzaya Gang was jealous of Su Wen's luck, with each spirit ring being top-notch and even the 3rd ring causing the spirit skill to mutate, he had to admit that Su Wen's approach was correct. So, why not pair the 4th ring with another attribute? Or is it that he wants to rely on this sunflower to not only add healing light but also gain the even rarer life attribute? Uzaya Gang speculated. If that's the case, then this kid is truly greedy. Betting on getting a new elemental control is already lucky enough, and he still wants the life attribute? Analyzing Su Wen's spirit ring strategy combination, Uzaya Gang, believing he had figured out some ideas, set it aside for the moment. The cultivation method of twin martial spirits is the key point. Bibi Dong actually said to absorb them directly, but the risk is extremely high, so there must be corresponding techniques. With Su Wen's information in hand, Uzaya Gang felt he had plenty of time to study it and believed he could uncover some insights. He thought the most important thing right now was how to cultivate twin martial spirits. Bibi Dong is the only one who has successfully cultivated twin martial spirits, but if she doesn't talk, where else can I get information? Visiting Spirit City for the first time, Su Wen marveled at its grandeur. It was even more splendid than Heaven Dao City. What was most striking was the mysterious radiance that Spirit City emanated, with a towering angel statue at its center, visible from afar outside the city, glowing with golden light. Chrysanthemum Douluo, Ghost Douluo, I don't know why you were in the team pursuing Tang Tang Hao, but since you were part of that battle, you are also my targets. As for Bibi Dong, a lovesick and crazy woman, it's better to stay away from her and avoid contact if possible. Now that Su Wen had reached level 59, he had the confidence to think this way. Brother Xiao, that angel statue is so special, Ning Rongrong whispered. Su Wen nodded and followed Ning Rongrong's gaze to the giant statue at the center of Spirit City. Not just special. That was the symbol of the entire Spirit Hall, the statue of the angel god. It gathered the faith of countless spirit masters from across the continent. Even though most of this faith was absorbed by the angel god, the faith power swirling around the statue as a mere symbol was still extremely dense. Originally, Su Wen hadn't planned to study the power of faith so early. At least, he didn't think it would be possible to forcibly study the power of faith before reaching limit Douluo. The preparations he could make were only for collecting faith in the future, such as establishing the Wisdom Palace. However, after coming to Spirit Hall today and seeing that enormous angel statue, Su Wen realized he could actually sense that special energy. Is it because of my spirit fusion technique with Rongrong? Su Wen pondered silently, trying to understand the root cause of why he and Ning Rongrong could sense this special energy. The Heavenly Book martial spirit has now evolved into a top-tier martial spirit, and its level is very high. But this is not the key point. Even though the Heavenly Book martial spirit is exceptional, there are still spirit masters on the continent with martial spirits that are not much different in quality from Su Wen's. It's not so much the high quality of Su Wen's martial spirit, but rather the unique development of it. Ning Rongrong's 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda. While not a god-level martial spirit, has some extraordinary traits, nearly reaching the level of law-based abilities. When combined with Su Wen's Heavenly Book and his spirit fusion technique, they might have reached a level that allows them to sense the angel statue. Although it's just a vague sense, it's a good start. Just as sensing elemental power is the beginning of harmonizing with it, with the right method and enough talent, one can always grasp some techniques. Although the power of faith is far higher than elemental power, the principle remains the same. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 177, Shrek Team vs. Second Emperor Fighting Team. Su Wen had no idea that his information had been handed over to Yu Xia Gang by Bibi Dong. Actually, it was quite normal. Initially, the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, as well as the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan and some other factions, obtained information about Su Wen registered in Spirit Hall through their respective channels. The only difference was the level of viewing detail they received. The most shameless thing about Yu Xia Gang was that he directly used his elder status to access Su Wen's information for his own. Clearly, this was an abuse of private authority. As for Bibi Dong's choice between Su Wen and Yu Xia Gang, Su Wen never expected Bibi Dong to value him. A lovesick fool, a lunatic, could never make the most rational choice. Especially when the other party is not under any pressure. Bibi Dong should have already obtained the inheritance of the Rakshasa god by now, and she is steadily advancing the assessment of the Rakshasa god. Naturally, her perspective and priorities in making choices are different. Of course, there are also factors of Su Wen concealing his own situation. But even knowing this outcome, Su Wen had no intention of exposing everything about himself to Bibi Dong, forcing her to choose one over the other. Instead, he had been on guard against such a situation. The age limit of his 3rd and 4th spirit rings, as well as the sources of his 3rd and 4th spirit rings and the spirit skills associated with them, were all made up. He even started deceiving people from his 2nd spirit skill. Moreover, any intelligence is forward-looking. The information Su Wen registered would be rendered useless in just a few days. Spirit Hall is not like an ordinary city with 4 sides, but a hexagon with 6 walls, each adorned with a huge relief. Similar to the 6 major martial spirits carved on the Spirit Hall token, these reliefs symbolize 6 powerful martial spirits. Within Spirit City, apart from the angel god statue, these 6 reliefs are the most prominent sights you'll see when you look up. For the convenience of the Spirit Master competition, Spirit Hall has specially designated an area in the center of Spirit City, where a massive platform, with a diameter of 100 meters, is entirely paved with granite. On this enormous platform, there are numerous spirit tools for reinforcement to prevent damage. Seeing these spirit tools, Su Wen's eyes gleamed with confirmation of his previous speculation. With such a variety of spirit tools present, there's no reason for there to be a shortage of attack or defense type spirit tools. As the teams from the Heaven Dao Empire arrived in Spirit City, those from the Starluo City also arrived on the same day. A total of 32 visiting teams rested in Spirit City for 3 days. 3 days later, the final round officially began. Shrek team is facing Jin Yun Academy team in the first round. Su Wen looked at the information of the Jin Yun team, marveling at Shrek's good luck. They were up against a team with 3 spirit ancestors. Apart from the 3 spirit ancestors, Jin Yun Academy had no other trump cards. Sure enough, under Tang San's 8 spider lances and the ghost shadow perplexing track, the spirit ancestor from Jin Yun Academy was no match for Tang San. The terrifying poison of the man-faced demon spider was fearsome. On the other side, Daimubei and Zuzu King's Hell White Tiger held off the other 2 spirit ancestors from the Jin Yun team. 3 against 3. Then it was a test to see whether the remaining 4 members of the Shrek team could withstand the attacks of the 4 opponents, or if Tang San's opponent couldn't endure the terrifying poison of the man-faced demon spider. Shrek wins. The audience, packed like sardines, erupted into a mixture of boos and cheers. Clearly, this unexpected outcome left the spectators from the Starluo Empire dissatisfied while exciting those from the Heaven Dao Empire. The first round lasted for 6 days. During this round, teams like the Emperor Fighting Team, Godwine Team, and Blazing Team fought against teams from the Starluo Empire and emerged victorious matched strength. This was somewhat different from previous competitions, where the Starluo Empire often had more teams advancing to the next round. However, this year, the Heaven Dao Empire had one more team than the Starluo Empire. In the second round, the 2 teams receiving passes are the Emperor Fighting Team and the Starluo Imperial Team. This is also a very different outcome from previous Spirit Master competitions. The quality of Spirit Masters from the Heaven Dao Empire seems to be quite high this year. Among the spectators present, besides the hundreds of thousands of people, there were also representatives from various major sects. They were comparing the changes between different factions. Indeed, this year, the Heaven Dao Empire seemed to have gathered some talented individuals. Second Emperor Fighting Team versus Shrek Academy. And eye-catching teams of this competition, it would naturally be the Shrek team and the second Emperor Fighting Team. One relies on an extremely low-level Spirit Master lineup in peculiar school uniforms, while the other relies on a team of wealthy second-generation individuals who are assured of their spots. Everyone knows the value of the second Emperor Fighting Team, so it was quite outrageous. Could 2 people really lead the entire team? Now, the 2 teams that caught attention were meeting in the second round, making many spectators open their eyes wide, ready to watch this spectacle of novices pecking at each other. Ha ha ha, Su Wen, even the heavens are helping us, Mo Hongjin laughed heartily, pointing at Su Wen. Just wait, I'll beat you all to pulp. Su Wen glanced at Ma Hongjin, silently noting down this fat guy. The match between the 2 teams was scheduled for the 3rd day, and the second round only lasted for 3 days. It's unclear if this was a deliberate arrangement by the Spirit Hall. Brother Wen, although this Shrek team seems weak, their strength is quite extraordinary. How are we going to deal with them? A member of the second team expressed concern. In the previous battles of Shrek, Tang San's 8 spider lances poison was extremely troublesome. When Tang San used the 8 spider lances in Spirit City, his secret couldn't be kept. There were quite a few people present who could recognize the origin of the 8 spider lances. In just a few days, news about Tang San possessing rare external spirit bones was spreading everywhere. I know, Ning Rongrong raised her hand, indicating that she knew the answer. The members of the second team looked at the witch. You guys just need to keep supporting from behind. Ning Rongrong's eyes curved like crescent moons as she giggled too. Su Wen patted Ning Rongrong's head and laughed. Rongrong is right. You guys don't need to feel pressured. As long as you don't attack me from behind, you won't get hurt. The members of the second Emperor Fighting Team were puzzled twice in a row. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 178, Can you reach my level? As long as you don't force me into 12-on-1 situation, The 5 of you won't get hurt. Su Wen's intention was actually very clear, but there hadn't been similar quotations on Douluo continent before, which resulted in the 5 members of Emperor Fighting Team not understanding Su Wen's words. Ningrongrong's explanation, on the other hand, they could understand. However, this was the elite Spirit Master competition of the entire continent, the grandest event of the entire continent, attracting attention from all over. Even a group of second-generation elites wouldn't dare to slack off in such a big competition under the premise of being sent to the finals on behalf of the Empire. If they directly performed poorly and lost, they felt they would be dealt with when they returned home. However, due to the authority established recently by Su Wen and Ningrongrong, they didn't dare to oppose. The second round was coming to an end. In the last match of the second round, Emperor Fighting Team vs Shrek Academy, please, both teams' members, take the field. On the Shrek side, they deployed their current strongest lineup, consisting of Tang San, Daimyu Bei, Zhu Huqing, Ma Hongjin, Oscar, the former Shield of Despair Su Jiang, and Tai Long. Although in terms of soul power level, Zhu Huqing, Ma Hongjin, Oscar, and Su Jiang were not as strong as Jingling, Wang Yuan and Jiang Zhu, they each played a role exceeding that of 3 individuals. Under Grandmaster's previous training, the coordination between the 6 was actually the most tacit, and Tai Long, who joined later, was also very obedient under Tang San's intimidation, quickly fitting into the team. Zhu Huqing could cooperate with Daimyu Bei to perform the spirit fusion technique. Oscar's auxiliary spirit skills were no worse than Jiang Zhu's, plus he had the swift flight mushroom sausage, so naturally, he would be on the field. As for Ma Hongjin and Su Jiang, they could defeat Jingling and Wang Yuan in one-on-one combat. Regarding Shrek's lineup, Su Wen showed no surprise, leisurely bringing his burdens onto the stage. Su Wen, didn't expect to bump into us again, did you? Ma Hongjin laughed heartily, watching Su Wen continuously outputting. However, Su Wen's calm demeanor made Ma Hongjin seem like a clown jumping around. Ma Hongjin fell silent, his face turning red, unsure if it was embarrassment or frustration due to the unsuccessful strategy. Both sides, prepare. The referee watched as both sides got ready and promptly announced, the match begins. Both sides released their martial spirits. On Shrek's side, Daimyu Bei had 2 yellow and 2 purple rings, while the rest of the team members all had the standard 2 yellow and 1 purple ring configuration. This lineup was considered normal for the finals of the Spirit Master competition. In fact, because there was only one spirit ancestor, this configuration was rather weak. This was also the reason why this was jokingly referred to as novices pecking at each other. It's not that the audience doesn't know Shrek's strength, after all, they made it to the top 18. It's just playful banter. However, at this moment, the many spectators who were previously jesting fell silent. In the venue, whether it was the tens of thousands of spectators or Pope Ibidong and numerous dignitaries on the platform, all were shocked as they looked at the figure on the platform. Wait, am I seeing things? One by one. The audience rubbed their eyes, then looked at the figure on the platform again. That figure was still standing quietly in the distance. Beyond him, spirit rings were arranged one after another, constantly pulsating, with dazzling yellow, purple, and black lights shining in turn. 1 yellow, 2 purple, 2 black. Second ring, 1,000 years old. Fourth ring, 10,000 years old. Spirit King. Each of these was explosive news. Yet, at this moment, they all concentrated on the same person. Moreover, those who knew Su Wen well knew that Su Wen was only 16 years old. Uzia Gang looked at the bizarre arrangement of spirit rings on the platform and instantly felt that the information he had in hand wasn't reliable anymore. All the tactics he had devised were based on this information, including considerations for what new self-created spirit skill Su Wen might develop in the past year based on this 4th spirit skill. However, he never imagined that there could be an issue with Su Wen's information. He immediately looked up at where the Pope was, with a hint of doubt in his eyes. But at the moment he turned his head, he also saw the shocked expression on Bibi Dong's face, dispelling his inner speculation. Su Wen's scheming runs deep. How did he even manage to falsify his rank in Spirit Hall? Moreover, how did he fake the colors of the spirit rings? These were questions Uzia Gang couldn't comprehend. During registration at Spirit Hall, they usually verify the spirit rings. Even at higher levels, while the soul power of spirit masters may not be tested, it's customary to check the spirit rings. It should be a mistake made by the Spirit Hall personnel, Most spirit masters register at Spirit Hall to receive subsidies. Once their soul power level surpasses that of a spirit elder and reaches spirit ancestor, they no longer qualify for subsidies. Therefore, apart from spirit masters within Spirit Hall, few external spirit masters actively register there. Perhaps over time, the Spirit Hall staff became negligent in registering spirit masters at the level of spirit ancestor and above. Uzziah Gang's expression was grave as he looked at the two sides on the platform, already able to imagine the outcome. A spirit king against a spirit elder is a one-sided match. Even the Hell White Tiger can, at most, just contend with a spirit king. With Daimyo and Zuzu King's soul power levels, the strength of the Hell White Tiger is limited, and once it engages with a spirit king, its endurance is extremely poor. It may revert to its original form after just a few rounds against Su Wen. The second Emperor fighting team were equally shaken internally. The captain is actually a spirit king. Oh my god. An easy win. Su Wen approached slowly and said, because I have other goals in this final, my 6 teammates behind me won't make a move. I will fully demonstrate my strength. You 7, come forward. He pointed to the opposite side, making bold statements. Tang San's expression was extremely unpleasant, as were Daimyo and Su Jiang, who were at the forefront. Facing Su Wen's Spirit King level soul power oppression, especially since Su Wen also had 2 10,000-year-old spirit rings, was daunting. It can be said that there was no difference between Su Wen and a spirit emperor in terms of spirit ring age. So, the psychological pressure Su Wen brings can easily match that of a spirit emperor. As for whether his strength matches that of a spirit emperor, it's still open to debate. Su Wen looked at Ma Hongjin and sneered, "You're still young? Can you reach my level within 2 years? Come on, I'll give you a chance to make a move and let you understand what the difference is." If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 179, He Has Deeper Intentions. Su Wen's words were extremely arrogant, but at this moment, to everyone, they seemed completely reasonable. No one even thought Su Wen was being careless. With 2 10,000-year spirit skills in hand, plus Su Wen's soul power level suppression, the Shrek side had no chance at all. After Su Wen spoke, Ning Rongrong and the other 5 team members behind him also retreated to the edge of the platform, indicating they would not participate. The most absurd scene in the history of the Spirit Master competition appeared. Even in the original work, the first battle of the Spirit Hall Golden Generation team was not this absurd. At this moment, the faces of the 3 members of the Golden Generation watching from the audience were as dark as if water could drip from them. Su Wen, how arrogant. With such a stance, their plans would be completely overshadowed. They had thought this would be their battle of fame, with the 3 Spirit Kings making history by winning the Spirit Master competition in an invincible manner. However, they didn't expect a dark horse like Su Wen to appear halfway through. Even if Su Wen's teammates were useless, and even if the final champion still ended up being the Spirit Hall team, in terms of individual talent, Su Wen would completely overshadow the 3 of them. Even if they won the championship and received the reward of 3 spirit bones, the 3 of them would not become legends in the Spirit Master world for the next 5 years. Instead, it would be Su Wen. Go, Tang San gritted his teeth. Even if Su Wen's soul power level and spirit ring years were unexpected, they had to try. Conceding directly would be too shameful for Shrek. Tang San immediately released his 8 spider lances, the 8 spider spears combined with the movement of Ghost Shadow perplexing track, moving like a ghost, his figure flickering and even leaving after images in the air, making it impossible to pinpoint his exact location. However, this had no effect on Su Wen. Without using the Phantom Eye, Su Wen could clearly see his movements. Using the Phantom Eye, Su Wen could even see some of Tang San's soul power operations, allowing him to predict the next move of the Ghost Shadow perplexing track. Daimyo Bei's martial spirit possessed him, and his already tall body transformed again, his shirt tearing to reveal a muscular chest. A phoenix cry sounded, and Ma Hongjin shot phoenix flames towards the 6 people behind Su Wen. Su Wen frowned, and with a wave of his right hand, a fireball condensed out of thin air, colliding with a phoenix fire. Boom. The battle officially began. I told you, those 6 are not participating. Why did you still attack them? Su Wen sighed helplessly and instantly appeared in front of the chubby man. In his hand, a flaming Rasengan condensed and pressed towards Ma Hongjin. The flaming Rasengan suddenly expanded from the size of a head to a gigantic one that completely enveloped Ma Hongjin. Boom. Ma Hongjian's pupils contracted, and before he could react, he was already blasted away by the flaming Rasengan. Flames and air currents converged, releasing what seemed like flaming blades with the explosion of the flaming Rasengan. Even Ma Hongjian, with his evil fire phoenix martial spirit, was cut all over by these terrifying flaming blades. Chubby guy didn't follow the rules, so I had to teach him a lesson first. If you still want a fair fight, 7 against 1, I can give you time to heal him. Ma Hongjian experienced the pain of being burned by flames for the first time, his expression already twisted. The flames clinging to his wounds were even more terrifying than his own evil fire phoenix flames, continuously causing secondary damage to his injuries. Tang San glanced at Ma Hongjian's wounds, his expression slightly changing. Fire poison, the flames were strong enough to leave fire poison in the enemy's body. Or perhaps, did his flames breed fire poison before being released? Oscar watched Su Wen's movements closely, fearing he would target him, the support, as he did before. Seeing that Su Wen really wasn't making a move, his first spirit ring flashed, and a fat, fragrant sausage appeared in his hand, which he threw to Ma Hongjian. Ma Hongjian took the sausage and swallowed it in one bite. His ferocious expression gradually calmed down as he struggled to stand up from the ground, looking at Su Wen with fear in his eyes. Teleportation, he exclaimed in terror. A special spirit skill just like Xiao Wu's. Moreover, it seemed much stronger than Xiao Wu's spirit skill, allowing him to cross such a great distance directly and return at any time. No cooldown. Or rather, the cooldown was less than a second. This was incredibly frightening. How can you fight against that? Someone in the audience exclaimed in shock. Even 7 against 1 wouldn't be enough, would it? At this moment, the members of the Spirit Hall team also began to frown. Against Shrek, Su Wen could be so magnanimous, giving them a chance, 7 against 1. However, if he faced the Spirit Hall team, Su Wen could completely use his space shuttle ability to launch point-to-point attacks. Unless the 7 members of Spirit Hall stayed together all the time, not giving Su Wen the chance to pick them off one by one, their combat abilities would be restrained, and they wouldn't be able to perform at their best. Unbelievable, Hulina was shocked once again. Her alluring eyes were filled not only with astonishment but also with curiosity. She was curious about how Su Wen did it. On the platform, Ning Fengzi nodded slightly, showing a gratified expression. Others saw Su Wen showing off, but he could see other uses in Su Wen's actions. For instance, Su Wen was warning others don't mess with him. And the facts proved that Su Wen's deterrence was effective. Su Wen possessed a spirit bone, a piece of information spread by Tang Hao and Tang San in Heaven Dao City. As the finals progressed, information about Su Wen was gathered, and any spirit master with some background already knew about Su Wen's possession of the spirit bone and other details. Under such circumstances, besides watching the battle, it's natural for minds to be restless. With extremely strong survival abilities, backed by the 7 treasure-glazed tile sect, the support of the Heaven Dao Crown Prince, and that terrifying combining all these factors, almost no one dared to target Su Wen anymore. However, in the Starluo Imperial team, there was one exception. And this exception stood out conspicuously. On the platform, Su Wen actively used the Phantom Eye to sense threats and could feel malice dissipating, leaving only a strong threat were not lethal. He could still feel some of them. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 180, You're All Too Weak. At this moment, the 7 members of Shrek felt as if they were being toyed with. Su Wen had the ability to instantly kill nearly half of their members and could escape safely. Yet, after demonstrating this, he stopped and waited for their collective attack. This guy was either crazy or didn't take them seriously at all. Tang San, you and your team are the first enemies I have faced head-on as a Spirit King, Su Wen said calmly. Make your move, don't waste any more time, go. A tiger's roar came from Daimyo Bei's mouth, and a shadow quickly approached from behind him, embracing him tightly. A ball of light illuminated the entire platform, and then a huge, translucent white tiger appeared on the platform, with white fur, black stripes, and purple eyes. It was 8 meters long and 2 meters tall. The moment the hell white tiger appeared, it charged towards Su Wen. Tang San also quickly approached Su Wen, having pushed his 8 spider lances to the limit. Now, the only things that could harm Su Wen were the spirit fusion technique Hell White Tiger and his 8 spider lances. However, this didn't mean the other 4 were idle. Ma Hongjian, Having recovered from his injuries, used Phoenix Firewire and Bathing Fire Phoenix, blocking Su Wen's movements. Su Jiang and Tai Long charged forward along with Hell White Tiger and Tang San. Su Wen wasn't restricted by Phoenix Firewire because he stood still, not moving an inch. Above his head, a heavenly book opened, its pages flipping rapidly, with sheets of paper flying out, transforming into large rocks falling around. Boom! A sudden oppressive force emerged. Despite the anticipation, although the four figures showed obvious stagnation and inconsistency, they were not completely interrupted by the sudden pressure brought on. As the pages of the book flipped, they turned into a sky full of wind blades and fireballs. Storms emerged, sweeping through the stone formation with terrifying flames mixed in. The Hell White Tiger roared, forcibly colliding with the storm tornado by terrifying wind blades, weakening its aura. Even with all three major attack spirit skills of the Great Orangutan, Tai Long was repeatedly pushed back by the terrifying fire vortex. Su Jiang's turtle shell was scorched red by the flames, and he was already feeling a bit dizzy, on the verge of fainting. Tang San forced himself to remain calm, using the 8 spider lances in conjunction with the ghost shadow perplexing track to neutralize the oppressive force of the stone formation while dodging numerous flames and tornadoes. However, Su Wen had studied his footwork before and had some understanding of how it operated. In his control of the flames and tornadoes, most of them were aimed at blocking him off. Once again, the pages of the book flipped, swiftly transforming after folding, seemingly turning into 7 real flying swords, cutting arcs in the air, surrounded by sword energy, descending towards Oscar and Ma Hongjin behind. The early silence lasted for a full 10 seconds. In the first wave of probes, Ma Hongjin attacked the other 6 members of the Second Emperor fighting team, and Su Wen punished him for half a minute. Ma Hongjin's healing took 3 minutes. 7 people besieged Su Wen, and then were withdealt, only lasting half a minute. The battle came to an end. Tang San had reached his limit, his eyes full of unwillingness. No. My Tang sect techniques have not been used yet. My Batwing rebound has not been displayed yet. Damn it. You didn't even break my 8 spider lances. This was a completely illogical battle. Su Wen's victory was overwhelming. Even though the opposing side had the spirit fusion technique Hell White Tiger, which theoretically could contend with a Spirit King, it was still withdealt by Su Wen standing still. Su Wen ignored the referee's statement about Second Emperor fighting team's victory and instead turned to look at where the Pope was. I have proven my potential, so my request from the Wisdom Palace should be no problem, right? Bibi Dong looked at Su Wen's figure, their eyes meeting, feeling complex emotions. To be honest, aside from the twin martial spirits, Su Wen was not inferior to her, and even surpassed her by far. A 5th level innate soul power has actually reached this level. Bibi Dong felt quite conflicted inside. At the same time, she also sensed some information contained in Su Wen's gaze. Thinking of what Salas had said about Su Wen's demands before, she began to weigh them in her mind. Salas, standing on the side, also had a complex expression. He now understood Su Wen's leverage. Yes, a spirit ancestor at 16 might not be too outrageous, but a Spirit King at 16 was truly unheard of. Even the former young master, did he reach Spirit King at the age of 16? The shock left by Su Wen still lingered, but the finals continued. As each battle unfolded, it seemed that Su Wen, this completely extraordinary presence, gradually faded from the spectator's view. In the 3rd round of matches, Second Emperor fighting team's opponents were all defeated. The same was true for the 4th round. Until the 5th round, which was the semifinals. In the end, there were 3 teams left, the Spirit Hall team, the Emperor fighting team, and Second Emperor fighting team. Among the final 3, surprisingly, 2 spots were taken by the Heaven Dao Imperial Academy. Alice, it's a pity. The result of the draw happens to be that our 2 teams from Heaven Dao Imperial Academy will have their individual matches first. The rules for the final round of matches were quite special. The teams were decided by drawing lots to compete in individual elimination matches, similar to a playoff system. The winning team would advance, and then the remaining pair would face the 3rd team in a group battle. The winning team from that round would then compete in the final group battle against the team that had advanced from the individual elimination matches to vie for the championship. Unfortunately, the Emperor fighting team and Second Emperor fighting team were drawn to compete in the individual elimination matches. We forfeit. Knowing how formidable Su Wen was, Du Yan, who was aware of it more than others, persuaded the rest of the team to choose to forfeit early on. While others might only think of Su Wen as a spirit king, Du Yan knew more. Su Wen was at least a high-level spirit king. Moreover, there was Nuoding, a spirit ancestor, providing a 50% boost in 4 attributes. This was no laughing matter. Whether facing Second Emperor fighting team in a group battle or in individual elimination matches, the Emperor fighting team had no hope of winning. Of course, there was also no hope of winning against the Spirit Hall team. However, they could deplete the opponent's stamina. As for facing the Second Emperor fighting team, the Emperor fighting team chose to forfeit to preserve Second Emperor fighting team's stamina. Xianheng, if possible, you don't need to deplete the Spirit Hall team's stamina next, Su Wen said to Yu Xianheng. Yu Xianheng and many members of the Emperor fighting team frowned. However, they were all very familiar with Su Wen. Although they had some doubts, they decided to trust him. The team match began quickly. Emperor fighting team versus Spirit Hall team, both sides ready, the match begins. Referee, we forfeit. The Emperor fighting team did not release their martial spirits and spirit rings, choosing to forfeit directly. Damn it, we've been underestimated. Yan looked towards the preparation area of the Second Emperor fighting team, glanced at Su Wen, feeling very uncomfortable. Yan, had always been unrivaled. However, he still adhered to one principle, which was to respect the strong. Yan acknowledged that Su Wen's talent was stronger than his, but Su Wen's attitude at the moment was making him very displeased. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 181, One Page, One World, One Book, One Universe. With the current lineup of Emperor fighting team, now fully composed of spirit ancestors, they still have the ability to exhaust Spirit Hall team. However, at Su Wen's request, they chose to concede directly. This also meets the expectations of the audience. Now, what the audience gathered in front of the Pope Square most want to see is the final championship battle. One, is Su Wen, a Spirit King level figure, superior, or is the Spirit Hall team with 3 Spirit Kings stronger? It seems that the Spirit Hall team has a higher chance of winning. However, the strength demonstrated by Su Wen is completely unlike that of an ordinary Spirit King. His previous season handling the Shrek team in a 1-against-7 situation is not something that can be explained solely by soul power suppression. Moreover, Su Wen also has the assistance of a 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda Spirit Master. Su Wen, I have to admit, among the Spirit Masters I've seen, you are the most terrifyingly talented one. In this aspect, I, Yan, admire you, but you shouldn't be so careless as to underestimate us. Listening to Yan's words, Su Wen smiled and said, it's not underestimating you all. I'm very aware of the gap between my strength and yours. Oh, Yan narrowed his eyes, revealing a hint of fierceness. Even though Su Wen has shown great strength, Ziyu and Hulina still possess the spirit fusion technique. And because Su Wen's battle with the Shrek team occurred before the debut of the Spirit Hall team, after Su Wen demonstrated his super strength, the Spirit Hall team's debut only showcased the configuration of the 3 Spirit Kings without demonstrating the spirit fusion technique. The Spirit Hall team planned to use this as their trump card against Su Wen. However, what they didn't know is that Su Wen had long known about their mastery of the spirit fusion technique. Not only Su Wen, but practically all 15 teams from the Heavendale region knew. The match begins. At the moment the referee announced the start of the match, the Spirit Master competition witnessed the most absurd scene in history. Even more absurd than the absurd scenes before the finals. In the final championship match, during the showdown, one side's participants collectively jumped off the platform. Except for Su Wen and Nuoding, the rest of the Second Emperor fighting team all jumped off the platform. Okay, but facing spirit ancestors, there's basically no chance of winning. It might even fail to create enough disturbance. And the 7 members of the Spirit Hall team, besides the 3 Spirit Kings, the remaining 4 are all high-level spirit ancestors. They wouldn't be of any use staying on the field. This was also a choice that Su Wen agreed to in advance, letting them not interfere on the platform. Su Wen, you are too arrogant, Yan shouted loudly, his Flame Lord martial spirit attaching, transforming into a lava giant, charging towards Su Wen. First spirit skill, Hellfire Lava Surge. Second spirit skill, Granite Rock. Third spirit skill, Hell Flame. Fourth spirit skill, Boiling Lava. It's evident that Yan respects Su Wen greatly, directly unleashing his first 4 spirit skills simultaneously aside from his 5th spirit skill. Under the combined effects of the 4 major spirit skills, the damage of his Hellfire Lava Surge reached its peak. Su Wen remained calm. A page flew out from the heavenly book, quickly enlarging, carrying Ningrongrong flying in the air. The 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda, with its 9 treasures, is renowned. 1 is strength, 2 is speed, 3 is soul, 4 is defense. Ningrongrong also summoned her martial spirit for the first time in the outside world, revealing her 4 spirit rings. 2 yellow, 1 purple, 1 black. A black millennium spirit ring. The 4th ring was 10,000 years old. Another 10,000 years old 4th ring. Bibi Dong suddenly sat up, tightening her grip on the scepter. At this moment, she was very clear that since Ningrongrong, this auxiliary spirit master, could absorb the 10,000 years old spirit ring in the 4th ring, everything's significance would change. If even the Pope reacted so strongly, others naturally would be even more exaggerated. The entire audience exploded. It literally exploded. Some spirit Douluo couldn't even control their own soul power, and there was a faint pressure emanating outward, staring at the figures of the 2 10,000 years old 4th rings on the platform, repeatedly entertaining the thought of capturing Su Wen and interrogating him. At this moment, speculation about the possibility of stabilizing the leap-level absorption of a spirit ring has surpassed and overshadowed the shock of Ningrongrong's martial spirit evolving into the 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda. Ningrongrong's martial spirit evolution was her own affair, at most spreading to the descendants of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, but stabilizing the leap-level absorption of a spirit ring, this concerns the entire spirit master world, and it's closely related to every spirit master present. How did he do it? Leap-level absorption of a spirit ring. He must have mastered a technique. Bibi Dong took a deep breath, separating the platform area, her soul power pressure spreading outwards, stabilizing the current situation. One by one, the spirit Douluo realized that this was Spirit City, outside the Pope's palace, and they stabilized their soul power fluctuations, carefully watching this battle. 4 brilliant lights enveloped Su Wen, increasing his strength, speed, soul power, and defense by 50%. Right, 4 spirit skills. It was only belatedly that those present realized this. Ningrongrong, how old was she again? She was the little princess of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, attracting much attention. Many powerful individuals knew about her to some extent, and upon careful consideration, they roughly recalled her age. 14 years old. SSS terrifying. The pages of the heavenly book fluttered above Su Wen's head. Pages flew, filling the entire platform, drowning the entire platform in endless pages to carry its own space. On some pages, illusions of towering mountains appeared. On others, illusions of rivers and great waters emerged. On yet others, an endless sea of fire manifested. And on some, infinite hurricanes formed. 1 page, 1 world, 1 book, 1 universe. At this moment, the platform seemed to transform into Su Wen's domain. No, this was his domain where his domain lay. Around Yan, pages flew, forming oceans within the pages as if it were another world. Endless oceans engulfed him, and the temperature of his lava could not spread at all. Pages fell down like towering mountains. Yan kept dodging, avoiding the oppression of these mountains. His expression was extremely ugly. Because these pages truly seemed to be like mountains. Any other tactics and prepared to directly use the spirit fusion technique to forcibly break through Su Wen's domain. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 182, Wait a moment, I have something to say. Su Wen's abilities only truly began to show their initial form with the 5th spirit skill. At this point, his book martial spirit could truly be considered cultivated by him. The world in a book domain unfolded, and on the entire platform, countless pages showcased Su Wen's versatility and power. The 4 elements of earth, fire, water, and wind were not only concentrated in individual pages but also intertwined with each other. The entire platform seemed to be divided into countless spaces, cut apart by Su Wen, with towering flames, endless floods, continuous hurricanes, and multiple mountain ranges. One boom. Pages of the book floated down lightly, but each was like a towering mountain, causing the entire platform to tremble. Meanwhile, the entire world in a book domain was crazily absorbing the surrounding heaven and earth energy. At the core of it all, the heavenly book above Su Wen's head continuously transformed the external heaven and earth energy, providing energy for the domain. 2 of the 4 spirit ancestors of the spirit hall were struck by Su Wen's pages. Their entire bodies seemed as if they were shattered, flying backward, spitting out a mouthful of blood, and falling to the ground, unable to get up again. Before the referee could rush over, Su Wen's pages fell first, stabilizing the opponent's injuries. Su Wen didn't want to be disqualified for causing severe injuries to his opponents. This scene made Yu Xiaogang's eyelids twitch. Truly, it was the healing light. Even with healing light, Su Wen can develop its effects to be so powerful. He took a deep breath, calming his mind. Even if the Shrek team were to lose, he could accept it. After all, the Shrek 7 Devils were too young, with ample opportunity to participate in the next tournament. His disciple Tang San even had the potential to join the Spirit Master competition 2 tournaments from now. 10 years would bring about a qualitative change for Tang San. However, Su Wen's performance disrupted the situation he could have accepted. Su Wen was only 16 years old. Leap-level absorption of a spirit ring. Su Wen must have mastered the method of leap-level absorption of a spirit ring. Yu Xiaogang's eyes lit up with interest in this technique. There must be targeted enhancement techniques for leap-level absorption of a spirit ring. We must obtain them, even if we don't have BB Dong's absorption technique. Just forcefully absorbing, we still need a strong physical condition. Once we obtain Su Wen's technique, at least we won't have to worry about Xiao's and second martial spirit not being able to attach the first 3 spirit rings. 3 negative effects. Only Ziyu and Hulina, who are using the spirit fusion technique, could see within the red mist. Even titled Douluo outside the mist couldn't claim to see the details inside clearly. However, for Su Wen, the red mist wasn't so terrifying. His spiritual power was formidable. Even without sight, he could rely on spiritual perception. Moreover, his phantom eye had the ability to dispel illusions advanced slowly. Their voice was neutral, making it impossible to discern their gender. His voice sounded somewhat surprised. "You can actually see through my red mist," the voice said in surprise, then calmed down and continued, "However, even so, you will not be my match within my red mist." Su Wen's spirit ring combination was not inferior to that of a spirit emperor, with an additional 50% boost in all aspects. In theory, he had the ability to confront a spirit emperor. However, the spirit fusion technique of the 2 spirit kings also possessed the strength of a spirit emperor level. Moreover, it was the strength at a higher level among spirit emperors. From childhood to adulthood, I have always been outstanding among my peers. I never thought that one day I would be surpassed by others, and under such suffocating pressure. "Su Wen, you are strong, I admire you," the voice said. "But, this is a competition. Nara and I's task is to defeat you and win this Spirit Master competition. Although it may seem presumptuous to present my self-created spirit skill in front of you, my full moon is different from ordinary self-created spirit skills." Enchanting Demon, currently controlled by Ziyu, said. As he spoke, he had already condensed 2 crescent blades in his hands. The 2 blades merged and fused into a white full moon. I once used this move to defeat a Spirit Emperor teacher at level 68 before breaking through level 50. Now that Nara and I have both surpassed level 50 and obtained our 5th spirit skill, we have further perfected full moon. Enchanting Demon had a lot to say. But all of this happened in a short moment, as if Ziyu's words were folded into illusions, instantly transmitting to Su Wen's mind. A white full moon had already taken shape in the Enchanting Demon's hands. Swish! Faced with a strike from the Enchanting Demon, Su Wen didn't hold back. He mobilized the world within the book, gathering a large amount of energy. Page by page, they transformed, landing in his palms, morphing into towering mountains, stacking together to form a great seal. Mountain overturning seal. Page by page, the book transformed, rivers and streams overlapped, waves upon waves endlessly connected. Ocean crossing seal. Su Wen merged the 2 seals. As the 2 great seals overlapped, an atmosphere of heaviness emerged, accompanied by the endless pounding of waves. Boom! Shattered. The great seal remained intact. The Enchanting Demon's pupils contracted. How is this possible? This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. At the Spirit Hall Academy, his self-created spirit skill was highly regarded by many teachers and even titled Douluo for its powerful attack, known as the flawless self-created spirit skill. He never expected his full moon to lose in a collision with an equal-level opponent. However, he was losing now. Battling Su Wen, also a spirit king, in the state of spirit fusion technique. You still don't understand the essence of self-created spirit skills. Su Wen shook his head, refraining from attacking the shattered enchanting demon. He quietly waited in the red mist for the enchanting demon to regain consciousness. As for outside the red mist, the evolving attacks of countless pages had already eliminated all other members of the spirit hall team, except for the enchanting demon. All eyes were focused on the red mist. Unfortunately, they couldn't see through this red mist. The essence of self-created spirit skills, enchanting demon murmured to himself, somewhat puzzled. He lifted his head, looking at Su Wen, who was waiting for him to contemplate, and admired. Su Wen, you are a worthy opponent. I have lost. He did not continue to launch an attack, nor did he attempt other means such as illusions. If you're interested, you can visit my wisdom palace. Perhaps it will be helpful for your cultivation, Su Wen said lightly. The red mist shattered. The figures of Ziyu, Hulina, and Su Wen appeared, the three of them standing quietly without any injuries. As everyone was puzzled, Ziyu slowly raised his hand. In this battle, Su Wen has won. Hulina remained silent throughout. The enchanting demon spoke before casting the full moon. She completely handed over this battle to Ziyu. They lost. The three members of the Spirit Hall's Golden Generation, who had never lost before, each had different feelings. The champions of this year's Elite Spirit Master competition of the continent's High Spirit Master Academy are the Second Emperor Fighting Team. Bibi Dong announced the winner of the competition. She handed over the spirit bones originally prepared for the three members of the Golden Generation. Su Wen stored all three spirit bones in his storage spirit tool. The 5 second generation members of the Second Emperor Fighting Team were eager but dared not ask for any of them. Apart from helping Su Wen form a team to participate in the competition, they had no other role and no authority to allocate rewards. As for Ningrongrong, he can share with her privately after taking them if he wants to. Now that the rewards have been distributed, this Spirit Master competition will— Wait, Your Holiness Pope, I have something to say, Su Wen interrupted Bibi Dong, his voice clearly spreading throughout the entire square with the enhancement of soul power. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183, For the Spirit Master World. Oh, Bibi Dong looked at Su Wen with a surprised expression. All eyes were on Su Wen. Now, everyone was anticipating the end of the competition so they could proceed with their plans that they had set during their battles with Su Wen. Need to worry about this, don't worry, with Su Wen's words, became excited immediately. Does this mean he's going to make it public? Wow. Uzaya Gang stared fixedly at Su Wen's figure on the platform. Making it public directly? Even everyone Uzaya Gang, who had openly discussed the top 10 core competencies, had never thought that this level of theory could be made public. If it could be made public, wouldn't it be easy to obtain his achievements and techniques? If that were the case, the absorption of the first 3 spirit rings for Zaya's second martial spirit would be at least worry-free. As for the remaining 6 spirit rings, they could also summarize their experiences while absorbing the first 3 spirit rings and find the key points themselves. In fact, I believe you all are not only curious about my leap-level absorption of spirit rings, but also have doubts about my soul power cultivation speed and other aspects. Su Wen's speech was not fast, as he slowly recounted his experiences. My innate soul power is only at level 5, and my martial spirit is just an ordinary book martial spirit. However, starting from the age of 6, until now, after 10 years, I am 16 years old and have become a spirit king, achieving what I have today. Everyone sighed along with Su Wen. Indeed, if placed back in the day, who could have imagined that a spirit master with a level 5 innate soul power and a book martial spirit could achieve leap-level absorption of spirit rings? The second ring is 1,000 years, the fourth ring is 10,000 years, and within 10 years, he directly reached Spirit King. My martial spirit is a book, and fundamentally, I am on the path of a scholar. A scholar? Su Wen is still a scholar? I firmly believe that knowledge is power. A scholar who can transform knowledge into power is a qualified scholar. Otherwise, no matter how much theoretical research one conducts, if they cannot solve their own problems, they cannot truly admit to being a successful scholar. Uzaya Gang's face turned black. Was Su Wen mocking him? Many people's gazes turned towards this direction. This made Yu Xiaogang's expression even uglier. To be honest, Su Wen didn't fire a broadside because many scholars didn't promote their fame, didn't publicize how successful they were. Only Yu Xiaogang was extremely outspoken, boasting the title of Grandmaster. All spirit masters were pondering Su Wen's words, whether they contained implications towards Yu Xiaogang or not. They didn't care much, just glanced at the person involved incidentally. Knowledge is power. The spirit masters from the 15 teams from the Heaven Dao Empire remembered Su Wen's invitation to them before. Wisdom Palace, the place to spread knowledge. Knowledge is power. Relying on knowledge, I have come to where I am now, creating a relatively complete theory of leap-level absorption of spirit rings, and establishing a relatively complete framework system for martial spirit cultivation, spirit skill development, and other aspects. A collective gasp echoed. Because, with Su Wen's words, they realized that besides the most obvious point of Su Wen's leap-level absorption of a spirit ring, whether it was Su Wen's cultivation speed or the self-created spirit skills he mastered, they were also hidden anomalies. And if Su Wen had theoretical guidance in these areas too, my god, he's only 16 years old, could he have researched so many theories in just 10 years? Is he a natural scholar? It seems so. Su Wen's martial spirit is a book. Isn't he a born scholar? Knowledge is the fundamental power. Theory is the guiding light for spirit masters' cultivation. Similarly, the dissemination of theory and knowledge is also the inexhaustible driving force behind the development of the spirit master world. I appreciate the difficulty of acquiring knowledge at the beginning, and I am also aware of the primitiveness and backwardness of spirit master cultivation without the guidance of knowledge. So, I established Wisdom Palace, the gathering place of all knowledge in the world. My research results, everything I have learned, will all be included in Wisdom Palace. At present, Wisdom Palace has 3 honorary elders, namely Sect Master Ning, Sword Douluo, and Bone Douluo, and 2 formal elders, Poison Douluo and Spirit Douluo. Fire Demon Xiao Zun. This lineup is truly heaven-defying. I, representing the royal family of the Heaven Dao Empire, unconditionally support Wisdom Palace. Zhu King spoke at this moment. Everyone was shocked that Su Wen could gather such a luxurious lineup. Similarly, some astute individuals had already realized the problem. Since such a luxurious lineup has been gathered, then what Wisdom Palace, as Su Wen mentioned, is going to do will surely shock the entire continent. Wisdom Palace, the gathering place of all knowledge in the world. Thinking back to what Su Wen said before, that is, knowledge and theories will be made public, some people have already realized what Su Wen is going to announce. However, they still hold their breath and focus their attention on the figure on the platform above the square. Knowledge should not be left to gather dust in the archives. Wisdom Palace advocates that knowledge is power. It will integrate knowledge, develop theories, and promote the development of the Spirit Master world, and the knowledge and theories held by Wisdom Palace will be made public to the world. Wisdom Palace has internal and external divisions, with direct members and peripheral members. However, apart from the difference in affiliation, there will be no distinction in accessing knowledge and participating in theoretical research within Wisdom Palace. Anyone can join Wisdom Palace as an external member to access the knowledge and theories within Wisdom Palace. At this moment, outside the Spirit Hall, Pope's Hall, there was silence on the square. Each formidable figure belonging to Spirit Hall changed color one after another, looking at the figure on the platform, then turning to look at the Pope. The principles and goals of Wisdom Palace are simply threatening the interests of Spirit Hall. However, there are still distinctions. What truly unsettled Spirit Hall was the banner that Wisdom Palace raised to promote the development of the Spirit Master world. Spirit Hall has always regarded itself as the leader in this regard. The development of the Spirit Master world is Spirit Hall's affair. But today, there are others coming to vie for their share. Bibi Dong showed no surprise, her expression always calm, sending a signal to many members of Spirit Hall. Her Holiness the Pope had long known about this matter. Sure enough, as one Spirit Master after another belatedly became aware of the contradiction and their gaze focused on the Pope, Bibi Dong finally spoke up. Her voice echoed throughout the square. Since it is for the sake of promoting the development of the Spirit Master world, Spirit Hall naturally supports it. Wisdom Palace's development needs, whatever you require, Spirit Hall can fulfill. With the Pope's words, it also meant Spirit Hall's support was successful. Excitement filled the Spirit Masters on the square. For the Spirit Master world, they cheered. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com. Johann LT. Chapter 184, Role is your own choice. At this moment, the spirit masters shouting on the square were just extremely excited. Although they were shouting, most of them had not truly realized the significance of Su Wen breaking the barriers of knowledge. A few who did realize it looked at Su Wen with admiration. Knowledge is power, and theory guides direction. This is a truth deeply understood only by spirit masters who have had many insights into cultivation continent. At that time, Wisdom Palace will also cooperate with major local academies, and students can go to Wisdom Palace for theoretical learning and guidance. The leaders of the academies present are all powerful spirit masters. Upon hearing Su Wen's words, they frowned one after another. They were satisfied with the teaching in their own academies and didn't believe that Su Wen's Wisdom Palace could teach better than them. However, there are not only a few academies on the continent, but also some academies with less advanced teaching resources. Everyone, with the support of Spirit Hall and the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, the information in my Wisdom Palace is already complete. In terms of theory, I believe there's nothing more appealing to spirit masters than the theories in Wisdom Palace. I have internal strength, with a cultivation effect 5 times greater than meditation. I have external strength, which doubles the effect of cultivation by practicing both internally and externally. I have body tempering techniques, which uses soul power to refine the entire body's meridians and flesh, comprehensively improving physical fitness. Long-term practice can enhance the limit of spirit ring endurance. I have the spirit ascension method, which can offset an additional 10 to 20% of the impact during spirit ring absorption. I have the spirit fusion technique, which assists spirit masters in truly understanding their martial spirits and developing their martial spirits and spirit skills. Su Wen opened his arms, as if embracing the future of the spirit master world. At this moment, in the eyes of the spirit masters present, he was divine. As if he had obscured the brilliance of the god of angels. Su Wen named a specific soul power circulation route as a technique, and now explaining the effects of his many techniques one by one also shocked each spirit master. Are all of these going to be open? All these techniques belong to the direct affiliation of the Wisdom Palace and will be made public. Even spirit masters from other sects can join the Wisdom Palace. The Wisdom Palace doesn't engage in any conflicts, only studies theories, and is only responsible for spreading knowledge. The techniques directly affiliated with the Wisdom Palace or the theories developed by the Wisdom Palace will be made public, and scholars from all over the world can delve into them, while spirit masters can also refer to them for cultivation. As for the secret techniques and theories that Wisdom Palace doesn't possess, other sects can also hand them over to the Wisdom Palace. We can help you find an inheritance. Initially, everything seemed fine, but when Su Wen mentioned the latter part, some began to question. Uzai Gang sneered. A joke. How could the sect's secret techniques be handed over to others at will? The sect's secret techniques will not be fully disclosed, but basic information will be recorded and provided. The sects offering the secret techniques can make requests and set up inheritance tests. Of course, as a reward, the Wisdom Palace will also satisfy you. A reward? Isn't the wealth of the Wisdom Palace just knowledge and theories? Moreover, the knowledge and theories belonging to the Wisdom Palace are all public. What else could I find appealing about you? Wrong. Yes, Ning Rongrong stepped forward and arrived at the empty space on the platform. Su Wen waved his right hand, and the heavenly book flipped, with pages falling onto Ning Rongrong and merging into her body. Ning Rongrong opened her palm, and a fireball appeared. She voluntarily dissipated the fireball, then summoned numerous air currents around her, lifting herself up. At this moment, all the spirit masters were dumbfounded. If I remember correctly, this girl's martial spirit is the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda. Right, old man, you're mistaken. Her martial spirit is the 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda, a pure auxiliary spirit master, yet she commands the power of wind and fire. After showcasing, Ning Rongrong stepped back behind Su Wen. Without finishing his display, Su Wen randomly picked a lucky spectator. Could you please cooperate for a moment? After saying this, the heavenly book flipped, and a page fell out. To demonstrate, Su Wen handled many details quite well. The page quickly enlarged in the air, and the paths of numerous meridians recorded above, as well as the golden flow of soul power, were clearly visible. Is this Su Wen's technique? I can't take it anymore. I just took a glance, and I feel like I'm about to faint. I have to admit, old man, this time it's not your failing eyesight. I feel dizzy too. This is the spirit ascension method, Su Wen said indifferently. Damn it. This is the spirit ascension method you're talking about? Damn, how much energy do I have to waste to cultivate your spirit ascension method? Although the effect is great, but, well, it still has good value for money. But your spirit ascension method is just outrageous. The page fell onto the body of the previous lucky spectator, merging into his body. This time, even though Su Wen didn't peek into his meridians, the soul power in the page began to operate automatically, guiding the soul power circulation of this spirit master dry today. I wonder if the Book of 10,000 Techniques will catch the eye of the major sects, Su Wen said lightly. The Book of 10,000 Techniques contains all the methods I have mastered, including techniques and self-created spirit skills, skipping the cultivation process? Damn. Is this a divine object? At this moment, even Bibi Dong was internally shaken. She never expected Su Wen to have such means. Studying the spirit ascension method would definitely benefit future generations in their cultivation. However, the complex operating roots meant that a 6-year-old child couldn't possibly master it. Even with considerable effort, it was unlikely for anyone to grasp it before the age of 12. For children with high talent, they might reach the second spirit ring at the age of 12. Conversely, children with more normal talent might delay reaching the second ring until they are 16, 17, or 18. By this time, if they have mastered the spirit ascension method and practiced a body tempering technique for many years, they have a complete chance of absorbing the second ring within 1,000 years. They can quickly catch up on the talent gap. For those big powers, the Book of 10,000 Techniques seems to have become a necessity for their genius juniors. You're not trading? Then your sect's geniuses might fall behind. Can't even absorb the second ring within 1,000 years, what kind of genius is that? Su Wen showed a faint smile, looking at the many high-level members of the sects present. Roll. I'm not forcing you to trade with Widsome Palace, but the complexity of the spirit ascension method determines that the original geniuses must roll up their sleeves and master the spirit ascension method in a shorter time. Progress has always been relative. You may be practicing various techniques faster, but if someone else gains more benefits than you, then you're essentially regressing. People stronger than you will have a gap bigger, while those weaker than you will narrow the gap, and they might even surpass you. Su Wen feels no burden about this. I'm just a porter of knowledge. Rolling up or not is entirely your own choice. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 185, The Reputation of a Scholar. The high-level members of the present sects couldn't help but curse Su Wen secretly. If they had known that the spirit ascension method was so difficult to cultivate, they wouldn't have been happy when Su Wen publicly announced it. Now that they've learned about it, they have no choice but to dive into it. Of course, there is another possibility, to kill Su Wen and prevent the spirit ascension method from spreading completely. However, behind Su Wen stand 3 titled Douluo, a spirit Douluo, and Ningfengzi. Even 7 treasure glazed tile sect might provide comprehensive support. Plus, there's the support of Spirit Hall and the Heavenly Dao Empire. Who dares to kill him? Although they were forced to dive into it, Su Wen still left them a way out. Although their secret techniques will be collected by Widsome Palace, they were not completely publicized. Some legitimate assessment criteria could still be established. For example, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan's Dragonization secret technique could require joining the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan or marrying into it. Similarly, the 7 treasure glazed tile sect's heart separation control could demand that the technique not be disclosed to outsiders, not be used against the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, and require the practitioner to perform 3 tasks for the sect. Does Starluo Empire have someone who can represent the royal family? Su Wen looked towards the direction of Starluo Empire. Now that he had gained the support of Heaven Dao and Spirit Hall, only Starluo was left. As long as the royal family of Starluo Empire made a statement, the nature of Widsome Palace would be essentially determined, making it an established force. At this moment, Dai Wisi from the Starluo Imperial team stepped forward, his eyes flashing. Seeing this, within Shrek Academy, Dai Mubei clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with unwillingness. Although his growth had been rapid, Dai Wisi had been the legitimate heir all along, almost designated as the crown prince. Now, Dai Wisi obviously had more representativeness than him. As long as Dai Wisi didn't act impulsively now and refused Su Wen's Widsome Palace, he would become the link between Starluo Empire and Widsome Palace. Even if Dai Mubei's talent showed hope of surpassing Dai Wisi in a few years, he would basically have no chance at the throne. It's said that the winner takes all based on the strength of the two brothers, but ultimately, they would still be influenced by external factors, although this influence was not usually present. Daiwisi stepped forward and clasped his fists, saying, "I may not be the crown prince, but I am still a prince of the Starluo Empire. Naturally, I support the great ideals of Widsome Palace. When I return to the Empire, I will personally explain the situation of Widsome Palace to my father and strive to gain his support for Widsome Palace." Su Wen nodded, saying, "Thank you. No, it should be all of us Spirit Masters thanking you." Daiwisi waved his hand. "Exactly, Su Wen, it should be all Spirit Masters thanking you for your efforts," Bibi Dong added. Zhu King also said, "Indeed, everyone should be grateful for your contributions." What they three said represented the attitudes of the three most influential forces. Suddenly, a voice, young yet firm, rang out loudly. "Yes, it's all of us who should thank you for your efforts." "Thank you, Teacher Wen." Too, it was Lin Dong. His voice was abrupt, yet it penetrated straight to the heart, conveying a sense of sincerity. "Thank you, Teacher Wen." X1 like a landslide, the entire square resounded with praise for Teacher Wen. Su Wen glanced helplessly at Lin Dong. Taking in the magnificent scene before her, Bibi Dong took a deep breath and gave Su Wen a profound look. The master of spirit masters throughout the world jealousy. Today is destined to be recorded in history, and it will be a very prominent one. Amidst the overwhelming praise for Teacher Wen, Su Wen felt a kind of energy of faith converging on himself. This is faith. Su Wen couldn't perceive the specific existence of the power of faith, but there was a vague feeling, sensing its presence. It didn't matter if he couldn't harness the power of faith harvest such a huge amount of faith from a state of having none. Su Wen felt that the circulation of soul power in his body had instantly become much smoother. The energy of heaven and earth surged. This is spirit masters with keen perception felt the changes in the elemental energy 60 so quickly. The major bottleneck from level 59 to level 60 unexpectedly completed the breakthrough within 3 months. He knew that Su Wen must have gained some great benefits. Apart from Ning Fengzi, no one knew what this soul power breakthrough meant for Su Wen. It didn't just mean that his soul power had increased by 1 level. It meant that after the Spirit Master competition, everything Su Wen had shown during the competition would be refreshed. "There's a personal matter I need to tend to," Su Wen interrupted Bibi Dong once again. Bibi Dong was completely clueless about what Su Wen was up to this time, but she tried to remain patient and asked, "What else do you need to do? After the Spirit Master competition ends, there will be many people curious about my Wisdom Palace and eager to discuss matters with me. I know you're in a hurry, but please bear with me for now. I have some personal matters I need to handle here, so I have to temporarily interrupt the Pope." Su Wen bowed apologetically. After all, he insisted on dealing with his personal matters before the end of the Spirit Master competition. Bibi Dong frowned, not pleased with the lack of respect shown at this time. Su Wen's previous display of power was already sufficient. He was the master of spirit masters throughout the world. Just as he had established the name of the master, even she had to give Su Wen some face. Curiosity sparked among the spirit masters about what private matters Su Wen had. As Su Wen mentioned having personal business to tend to, Tang San and Yu Xiaogang's heart sank, sensing trouble. As expected, Su Wen's gaze turned towards the direction of Shrek. "Tang Hao, come out. Utilizing the platform of the Spirit Master competition finals, it's time to settle our grievances," Su Wen said calmly. "Who? Tang Hao?" Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo's pupils contracted, and Bibi Dong's expression changed too. She followed Su Wen's gaze towards the Shrek team's position, looking at Tang San. Twin martial spirit, blue silver grass, surname Tang. She understood, it all made sense now. And gradually, others remembered who Tang Hao was. The Clear Sky Douluo. The youngest title Douluo on the current continent, pursued by Spirit Hall, is said to have disappeared for a long time. Su Wen called out Tang Hao's name everyone directly, indicating a deep grudge between them, which shocked. But what did Su Wen mean? Settle? Our master just said he wants to have a decisive battle with the Clear Sky Douluo? It's all in human language. How come I can't understand it here? A figure wrapped in a black cloak appeared in front of the Shrek team, and a voice filled with vicissitudes sounded. Young and audacious, if you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 186, Tang Hao, Today You Must Die. Tang Hao knew that the moment Su Wen spoke, he could no longer stay hidden. He truly hadn't expected that Su Wen would dare to expose him in front. Could it be that he really thought Tang Hao couldn't kill a mere spirit king because of his injuries? At this moment, Tang Hao looked at Su Wen with a hint of killing intent in his eyes. Previously, at the Imperial hunting grounds, after learning the truth, Tang Hao was willing to wait for Su Wen to grow stronger and give him a fair fight. If he lost and died, so be it. But now, Su Wen had exposed him in front, which would undoubtedly have a particularly negative impact on Tang San too. Tang Hao once again harbored murderous intent. Of course, his killing intent was already intense, especially here at the Spirit Hall, in front of the Pope's palace. He wished he could destroy the Spirit Hall with his own hands. Tang Hao, don't be presumptuous in front of the Pope's palace, Bi Bidong said sternly. Her soul power erupted. At the same time, Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo, along with several Spirit Douluo from the Spirit Hall, all mobilized their soul power, locking onto Tang Hao. It wasn't just the Spirit Hall's Spirit Masters. On the plaza, many titled Douluo from other factions, such as Poison Douluo and Sword Douluo, also locked onto Tang Hao. Feeling all these powerful presences locking onto him, Tang Hao felt a heavy burden in his heart. However, he still didn't think he had no chance of escaping. As many powerful individuals confronted Tang Hao, Su Wen finally spoke. Everyone, this is a personal grudge between Tang Hao and me. I hope you won't interfere. Tang Hao is also a wanted criminal of our Spirit Hall, Bi Bidong said. But I was the one who brought him out, Su Wen said calmly. Tang Hao squinted his eyes, his killing intent clear. Were they really arguing over his ownership right in front of him? Your Holiness, I hope you'll give me some face. Bi Bidong stared at Su Wen and said, I hope you don't play yourself to death. Tang Hao, come on, kill me, or I'll kill you. The heavenly book shone above Su Wen's head, with 1 yellow, 2 purple, and 2 black spirit rings rhythmically circling him. If you're seeking death, I'll grant it. Tang Hao knew that Su Wen was the key to breaking through today. Since Su Wen established himself as a theory master, using him as leverage might still allow Tang Hao to escape today. A large black hammer appeared in Tang Hao's hand, with 9 spirit rings manifesting one after another. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 red. A red 100,000-year-old spirit ring. As the blood-red spirit ring appeared, it seemed to cover Tang Hao in a layer of blood. A surge of killing intent spread from him, extending to the surrounding area. Even the other titled Douluo felt an indescribable pressure. Sword Douluo, standing in front of Ning Fengzi, had a grim expression. As expected of the Clear Sky Douluo, this aura is truly intimidating. Ning Fengzi did frown as he watched Su Wen on the platform, but ultimately did not intervene. The upper 3 sects shared a common bond, but they were not completely united. When Tang Hao committed his crimes years ago, the upper 3 sects could jointly resist the Spirit Hall, but the Clear Sky sect remained silent and inactive. After being targeted by the Spirit Hall, they retreated into seclusion. Without the strong support of the Clear Sky sect, the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile sect and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan had not fared well in recent years, often having to avoid conflicts with the Spirit Hall whenever possible. The situation was completely different from more than a decade ago. Even the few known details were speculations within the 2 major sects themselves. When the Clear Sky sect encountered trouble, they didn't even inform the others of the reason. Now, with Tang Hao, the root cause of everything, appearing and Su Wen adopting a life and death stance against him, Ning Fengzi would not intervene. In fact, he was quite inclined to help Su Wen complete his revenge. Su Wen activated the World Inner Book domain, and with the Phantom Eye activated, his mind was exceptionally clear. Unaffected by Tang Hao's aura, Su Wen knew that Tang Hao was not in his best state. He had to kill Tang Hao today. This was not an empty claim. Before Ziyu and Hulina broke through level 50, their spirit fusion technique, Full Moon, had defeated a level 68 Spirit Emperor. After the siblings both broke through to Spirit King, their Full Moon technique reached the Spirit Saint level. Su Wen's ability to defeat Full Moon indicated that his strength had already reached the Spirit Saint level. And this was only with a single layer of Ning Rongrong's support. Boom! Outside Su Wen's body, his first spirit ring exploded. His spirit rings were not yellow, purple, purple, black, black, but purple, black, 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 black. After the first spirit ring, the second ring quickly exploded. A vast amount of soul power surged into Su Wen's body, causing his aura to continuously rise. This is ring explosion, An experienced spirit master exclaimed in shock. However, ring explosion was a secret technique of the Clear Sky sect. How did Su Wen master it? Tang Hao's pupils also contracted. What shocked him was not that Su Wen mastered ring explosion, but that the proportion of Su Wen's aura increase after the ring explosion was noticeably abnormal. Boom. The third spirit ring exploded. It was a 20,000-year spirit ring. If Su Wen without Ning Rongrong's support and before using ring explosion was considered a level 65 spirit emperor, then after the first and second exploded, his aura rose to the spirit saint level. With the third ring's explosion, his aura was comparable to a mid-level spirit saint. Boom. The fourth ring, a 20,000-year mirror image beast spirit ring. Su Wen's aura is now approaching a high-level spirit saint. Boom. The fifth ring, a 45,000-year void silver moon taper spirit ring. At this moment, Su Wen's aura had reached the peak of a spirit saint. Ning Rongrong, carried by Su Wen's book page, had already distanced herself from the platform but was now releasing her spirit skill from afar. 9 treasures turn out with glazed light. 9 treasures have names: first, strength; second, speed; third, soul; fourth, defense. After Su Wen exploded 5 spirit rings, his aura reached its peak. Ning Rongrong's 50% boost successfully elevated Su Wen's aura to that of a spirit Douluo. One other spirit masters might struggle to control such a sudden increase, but Su Wen had no such worries. His fusion level was already sufficient to wield spirit Douluo level power. First spirit skill, enhancement. Source soul power, enhancement. With a double enhancement, if Su Wen's aura previously only barely reached the spirit Douluo level, it now firmly stabilized at that level. At this moment, Su Wen's soul power fluctuations were incredibly strong. Xiao Zhan gasped in shock. Without realizing it, had Su Wen already reached this level? Tang Hao, filled with killing intent, charged at Su Wen, wielding the clear sky hammer. He couldn't explode as now. The soul power he could mobilize was only at the spirit Douluo level. But don't forget, he was still a title Douluo, and his soul power was solidified. Su Wen entered the fire demon flow state, suddenly charging out, with the power of wind and fire circulating in his right fist. The explosive flame seemed capable of destroying everything. Boom. The two finally collided. At the point of their impact, air current spread in all directions, and a deep pit appeared on the platform. Tang Hao, today you must die. An explanation of Tang Hao's condition, Yin, was stolen by Su Wen, causing him extreme agitation and worsening his injuries. Although he had been with Tang San and receiving treatment from him, without the precious herbs from the ice and fire yin-yang well, the treatment was merely keeping him alive. Tang Hao's injuries were fundamental, and being alive was already fortunate. Without miraculous spirit skills or powerful herbs, recovery wouldn't be quick. As for using his power to regulate his condition, Tang San's soul power was too weak to accomplish that. So, Tang Hao is currently at Xiao Zhan's level, being restricted in various ways. Of course, he could still unleash a disparate burst of power, but he didn't dare to go all out just yet, at least not at the beginning of the fight. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 187, Spirit King kills beyond his level. Su Wen mobilized the world in a book, flipping through the pages one by one. They fell. As if great mountains were crashing down. Boom. Tang Hao swung the clear sky hammer, his third spirit ring outside his body flashing, continuously Su Wen's pages. Yan's throat rolled, looking terrified. Did we just fight against such a monster? Ziyu and Hulino were also shocked by Su Wen's power. Not to mention them, now everyone smash on the Spirit City Square finds Su Wen's strength unbelievable. Illusory, like a dream. He's using the ring explosion secret technique, but how could ring explosion have such terrifying amplification? No one knows that Su Wen's ring explosion is detonating a 9,000-year spirit ring, a 15,000-year spirit ring, a 20,000-year-old spirit rings, and a 45,000-year-old spirit ring. With such quality of spirit rings, just one explosion, even against a title Douluo, would have a significant amplification. If all 5 spirit rings explode, it might even amplify to the level of a super Douluo. For an ordinary title Douluo, it's possible to amplify by 2 to 3 levels. This level of enhancement might not pose a significant threat to Tang Hao in his peak state, but in Tang Hao's current heavily injured state, it directly narrows the gap between Su Wen and him. Clear Sky 9 Extinctions. Tang Hao's eyes were fierce, his killing intent bursting out. Blood-red soul power surged around him, and the power bursting from the clear sky hammer became increasingly terrifying. Su Wen swiftly moved away through space, a large seal condensing ahead. The four major elements of earth, fire, water, and wind converged, infused with the power of space. Heaven opening seal, boom. The two sides collided again, and this time, the aftermath of the collision approached the level of tidal Douluo. This Su Wen, such terrifying talent, Chrysanthemum Douluo exclaimed. BB Dong raised an eyebrow, also surprised by Su Wen's strength. So strong, even if not a twin martial spirit, with enough luck, there's a good chance to inherit a god. The collision continued. Su Wen felt the strain. Because Tang Hao was indeed continuously exploring the limits of his body's endurance during the battle, and the bursting soul power was approaching its limit. One boom. Su Wen's heaven opening seal was shattered, and Tang Hao swung the clear sky hammer towards Su Wen. After a wave of spatial fluctuations, Su Wen evaded the strike. Tang Hao held the clear sky hammer, soul power rolling, feeling the injuries within his body, his brow furrowing him. He didn't expect Su Wen's strength to be this formidable. With his ability to contend with Tang Hao and the capability of space shuttle, there was no possibility of capturing him alive. Tang Hao, a dignified clear sky Douluo forced back by a spirit king. I believe the title of Clear Sky in the Clear Sky sect cannot bear such insult. You? Tang Hao was furious. Su Wen's words completely cut off any possibility of his escape. If you were really single-handedly repelled by Su Wen, a spirit king today, what face would he, Tang Hao, have left in this world? However, if this continues, Su Wen, you're seeking death, I have no choice but to kill you. Tang Hao harbored murderous intent, erupting with the strength of a tidal Douluo, blood spurting from his mouth, but it didn't hinder the clear sky hammer in his hand. Su Wen had already mobilized his soul power when Tang Hao spoke, and at the moment of Tang Hao's eruption, he also condensed 3 heaven-opening seals. The 3 heaven-opening seals connected with each other, combining to form an excellent defense. Boom. The heaven-opening seals shattered against each other. However, they also intercepted Tang Hao's strike. Su Wen could evade, but without a collision, he wouldn't maximize the damage caused to Tang Hao by mobilizing his soul power. Therefore, he continuously formed formations with a heaven-opening seal, colliding with Tang Hao. Boom. PFFT. Finally, Tang Hao couldn't bear it any longer, spitting out blood. He freed one hand, clutching his chest, where meridians had ruptured, hindering the flow of soul power. But this was secondary. The most serious issue is the chain reaction it triggered. The injuries within him were collapsing continuously. Tang Hao, Clear Sky Douluo, will be killed by me, a spirit king. Today, you're going to die, and your reputation as Clear Sky will forever be nailed to the pillar of shame. Su Wen's words drove Tang Hao mad. Su Wen, you despicable scoundrel, Tang Hao erupted once again. This time, almost all of his meridians ruptured, unleashing a terrifying strike. Su Wen dodged using Void Shuttle. With the assistance of Phantom Eye, he clearly judged that this was Tang Hao's final outburst. Even if there was no need for backlash force, Tang Hao is undoubtedly doomed. A tiger fallen to the ground is bullied by dogs. Tang Hao, his mouth full of blood, uttered each word with bitterness. Fallen tiger in the ground? Su Wen shook his head. You're just a little older than me, give me time. Without needing your years, just 10 years, what are you in front of me? And as for me, this unripe genius, why can't I be considered the tiger? I am the tiger, and you are just a worthless dog. Tang Hao couldn't argue with Su Wen. At this moment, he glared with rage, blood spraying wildly from his mouth, before collapsing to the ground. The illustrious youngest tidal Douluo of the continent, Clear Sky Douluo, was dead. Defeated single-handedly. Although aided by Ning Rongrong's enhancement, Su Wen actually possessed the Replication 9 Treasure Glazed Tile Pagoda Martial Spirit, which could amplify himself. However, he didn't want to be too conspicuous, so he let Ning Rongrong handle this enhancement. The truth is, Su Wen could have single-handedly defeated Tang Hao, but now, to outsiders, Su Wen didn't appear to have achieved a single-handed victory at least. I prefer to keep a low profile, Dad. Tang San was in despair. Watching the battle between Tang Hao and Su Wen, every collision caused him great distress. As Tang Hao was killed by anger, Tang San immediately cried out in grief. He looked at Su Wen with eyes full of killing intent, bloodshot veins filing his eyes. Going to kill you? How coincidental, I was planning to kill you too, to root out the grass. One must remove its roots. Su Wen's gaze was icy, his right hand forming a heaven-opening seal. Boom. Su Wen narrowed his eyes, looking at Bibi Dong standing in front of Uzia Gang. Hidden deep within his eyes was a killing intent. Uzia Gang stood in front of Tang San, while Bibi Dong stood in front of Uzia Gang. Su Wen, misfortune doesn't befall family, Bibi Dong said indifferently. I'll only kill Tang San, then you'll have to step over my dead body. Uzia Gang shielded Tang San behind him. Su Wen silently looked at Bibi Dong. It was certain that he couldn't defeat Bibi Dong. So, Su Wen turned back and approached Tang Hao's corpse. Sharp wind blades formed in his hand. The wind blade slashed down, tearing Tang Hao's corpse apart. Watching this scene, Tang San was beside himself with rage. 6 spirit bones were dissected by Su Wen, and among them, 2 spirit bones emitted dazzling light, more intense and powerful than the fluctuations emitted by the 3 top-grade spirit bones awarded in the Spirit Master competition, exuding a more dominant aura. 2 spirit bones that belonged only to the lineage of Clear Sky Sect's past patriarchs. The best of the best. Spirit bones along with Tang Hao, Su Wen collected all 6 pieces of the complete set of spirit bones and put them into a storage spirit tool. Bibi Dong, you want to protect Tang San? I'll give you that face. But I can't just sit idly by. Su Wen took the spirit bones away and then spoke slowly. His voice seemed low, but it resounded clearly in everyone's ears. If my investigation is correct, the root cause of Tang Hao's pursuit was because of 100,000-year spirit beast. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 188, The 100,000-year spirit bone is in Tang San's hands. 100,000-year-old spirit beast? As Su Wen's voice fell, many spirit masters were immediately shaken. The 100,000-year-old spirit ring and spirit bone are the targets pursued by all spirit masters. So, upon hearing the mention of 100,000-year-old spirit beast, the attention of all spirit masters was immediately focused. I've investigated and received a rather absurd answer. It turns out that Tang Hao actually married a 100,000-year-old spirit beast in human form. Hiss! Each spirit master took in a sharp breath, greatly admiring Tang Hao. Bro, even daring to go for a spirit beast, ruthless. Wait, if Tang Hao's wife is a spirit beast, does that mean? Everyone's gaze towards Tang San changed. So he's not purely human, but also has the blood of a spirit beast running through him? I can't understand the hobbies of the father and son. I remember there was also a 100,000-year-old spirit beast in human form by Tang San's side, and their relationship seemed very close. Su Wen clicked his tongue twice. Honestly, Su Wen could accept Tang Hao going after the Blue-Silver Emperor, but Tang San going after rabbits was quite nauseating. Why is taboo love called taboo love? Because they originally belonged to different species, and the difference in mindset is too extreme. The outcome is clear. It's said that the 100,000-year-old spirit beast is dead. Tang Hao got a 100,000-year-old spirit ring, but there are no 100,000-year-old spirit bones in his body, Su Wen said slowly. Tang San felt a wrench in his heart. He instantly understood the purpose behind Su Wen's previous words. Everything was set up. Didn't expect this twist. Even if Tang San could leave alive today, he would never have peace again. Not to mention Tang San's lack of peace, it would be the same for Uzia Gang. It's not just the 2 of them, but also the other members of the Shrek team, as well as Flender and Liu Erlong. The future would be bleak for all of them. Flender and Liu Erlong are relatively safe, as they have considerable strength and don't need to worry within Heaven Dao City. However, Uzia Gang would definitely not be able to go out alone. The rest of the Shrek team would suffer even more. And Tang San, even if he hides in Shrek or seeks refuge in the Golden Iron Triangle, he could still be forcibly taken away. After all, that's a 100,000-year spirit bone, 100,000-year spirit bone. Jin Zunji's return did not bring back the 100,000-year spirit bone, Bibi Dong thought to herself. Looking at it this way, she narrowed her eyes, also focusing on Tang San. A 100,000-year spirit bone was exceptionally precious to her as well. It could completely serve as her spirit bone. If it's not on Tang San, then it must be in the Clear Sky sect. After Su Wen finished speaking, he left the platform alone and went to Ning Fengzi's side. Ning Fengzi patted Su Wen's shoulder, summoned his martial spirit, and used soul power amplification. Su Wen, with abundant soul power, consecutively performed various healing-type spirit skills on himself, gradually alleviating the injuries within his body. In this battle, he also suffered considerable injuries. "You kid, you're ruthless enough," Chen Zhen quietly said to Su Wen. The dignified Clear Sky Douluo, being single-handedly killed by a Spirit King in a cross-tier fight like this. Such an explosive outcome could be said to be a disgrace to the titled Douluo realm for the next several hundred years. Moreover, the reputation of the Clear Sky sect has completely declined because of Tang Hao. In the future, will the strongest titled Douluo of the Clear Sky sect still be awarded the title of Clear Sky? If the title of Clear Sky is not bestowed, then the name of the Clear Sky Hammer would be somewhat embarrassing. This Spirit Master competition ends here. Academies, you can all leave now, Bibi Dong announced the end of the tournament absent-mindedly. Around Su Wen, a group of strong individuals arrived. At least a dozen Spirit Masters, at the level of Spirit Saints, passed through the crowd and came to Su Wen's side. They all respectfully bowed and said, "Greetings to Sect Master Ning, Sword Douluo, Crown Prince and Teacher Wen. Hello, I know the purpose of your visit." Su Wen smiled. At this moment, he exuded a demeanor of a refined scholar, completely different from the fierce appearance of Tang Hao, who had just displayed the Clear Sky 9 utmost technique. However, the Spirit Masters present dared not be careless. Su Wen had just demonstrated formidable strength. Even though it was evident that Tang Hao had physical issues and had accumulated too many injuries, his eruptive power was definitely at the top level among Spirit Douluo. Yet Su Wen had repeatedly clashed head-on with him for dozens of rounds. Such a Su Wen could already be treated as a Spirit Douluo. Moreover, he had Xiao Zhan who had unexpectedly advanced to Spirit Douluo, as well as Poison Douluo, and the support of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. "What you seek is actually the various techniques I mentioned before," Su Wen said lightly. "Each of your respective factions will establish wisdom palaces in your cities as soon as possible. I will go ahead and assist you in completing the final construction of these wisdom palaces. At that time, I will leave all the techniques and materials at the various branches of the Wisdom Palace. These experts at the Spirit Saint level and above undoubtedly wield considerable influence in their respective areas, capable of helping Su Wen establish Wisdom Palaces in the corresponding cities as soon as possible. This is the inheritance crystal, containing the root for my internal strength cultivation." Su Wen conjured orbs of light from the pages of a book. Each orb of light landed in someone's hand. These individuals, under Su Wen's guidance, affixed the orbs to their foreheads. Immediately, streams of information appeared in their minds. After receiving the information with astonishment, they naturally dispersed the orbs in their hands as if nothing had happened. "Everyone, we still need your help in establishing the Wisdom Palaces," Su Wen clasped his fists and said. "Teacher Wen, you're too kind," Huayanzhen said respectfully. He completely forgot about his past conflicts with Su Wen and behaved deferentially. The internal strength cultivation route was one thing, but what impressed him the most was Su Wen's methods. To think that he could pass down knowledge in this manner. What about the knowledge and theories of the Wisdom Palace? Huayanzhen had vaguely understood Su Wen's intention to entrust the teaching of theories to the younger generations to the Wisdom Palace. Bibi Dong also experienced Su Wen's inheritance crystal, her eyes gleaming with a hint of wonder. This method of message transmission was somewhat similar to the divine examinations. It wasn't through written records or books, but primarily through the infusion of consciousness. Just like each examination in the divine tests, the content was directly injected into the mind, profoundly deep. Su Wen took the lead in handing over the internal strength cultivation route to the Spirit Masters present and, on behalf of the Spirit Hall, announced the route's release to the continent. At the same time, as the competition ended, the information about this competition swept through the entire continent like a hurricane. Su Wen also became a legend on the continent. The name of Teacher Wen spread across the continent. But at this moment, Su Wen, together with Poison Douluo, Sword Douluo, and Ning Fengzi, gathered and ventured deep into the starred out Great Forest 3. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 189, Tang Sen, I've been wronged. Xiaoan, although your reasoning is sound, those 2 spirit bones are still the inheritance spirit bones of Clear Sky Sect's Clear Sky Douluo through generations. Be cautious of the people from Clear Sky Sect, Ning Fengzi said. Humph, Xiaoan is right. He was expelled by Clear Sky Sect themselves. What's the problem with Xiaoan killing him and taking the bones? Poison Douluo snorted. Those are 2 top-quality spirit bones that rank high across the entire continent. The absorption of spirit bones is not unconditional. When the number of absorbed spirit bones reaches a certain level, they will inevitably come into contact with each other. Contact between different spirit bone auras will lead to conflicts. At that time, it's almost impossible to achieve a harmonious absorption of spirit bone auras without any conflicts. Collecting all 6 spirit bones is as difficult as climbing to the sky serve as suppression. These 2 spirit bones from Clear Sky Sect, with their powerful strength and domineering characteristics, firmly suppress the other 4 spirit bones within Tang Hao's body, allowing him to safely absorb all 6 spirit bones. Tang Hao's eruption is indeed terrifying. When he first broke through to title Douluo, he was able to severely damage the team led by Jin's Unji because he had a full set of spirit bones, providing him with a powerful physique, and the Great Sumeru Hammer could unleash the most peak state. Killing Tang Hao and taking away these 2 spirit bones would probably make it difficult for Clear Sky Sect to have descendants who can absorb all 6 spirit bones in the future. Don't worry, Uncle Ning, I know what I'm doing. Su Wen seemed fearless as he spoke. Clear Sky Sect daring to intervene, Spirit Hall would probably be the first to cause trouble. 100,000-year spirit bone. Is it still on Tang San or in Clear Sky Sect? Would Spirit Hall easily give up this 100,000-year spirit bone? With Bibi Dong's ambition, using this excuse to bring up past grievances and once again hold Tang Hao accountable for his past mistakes, they could completely launch another destructive blow against the Clear Sky Sect. No one knows that the 100,000-year spirit bone is with Su Wen. Even Tang Hao knows that the spirit bone is lost, still regarded the face of being in the top 3 sects and didn't want to escalate the situation further. However, considering that the name of the Clear Sky Douluo has been thoroughly disgraced, the situation has already escalated to a huge extent. The top 3 sects are united to resist Spirit Hall. Now, with Wisdom Palace established, although there is also cooperation with Spirit Hall, as time passes, the 2 major super holy lands will only form a confrontational situation. With 7 treasure-glazed tile sects standing with Wisdom Palace, there is no need to continue using the banner of the top 3 sects. Xiaoan, have you decided on your 6th spirit ring? Sword Douluo was more concerned about the fighting matters, asking Su Wen about his 6th spirit ring target. Grandpa Sword, I've had it planned for a long time. Su Wen smiled this time. He invited 2 title Douluo and Ningfengzi just for that arc to Vilga Tiger. Outside Spirit City, the Shrek team's Flunder snorted coldly, his martial spirit manifesting, with 7 spirit rings appearing successively outside his body. Liu Erlong also summoned her martial spirit, with 7 spirit rings emitting soul power fluctuations, ready to erupt at any moment. It's been a long time since we've roamed around the continent. The Spirit Master world seems to have forgotten the reputation of our golden iron triangle. Yu Zhigang snorted coldly, standing at the last corner. The 3 of them didn't initiate the spirit fusion technique, but they were prepared and could activate it at any moment. The surrounding Spirit Masters were instantly intimidated. The Trinity Martial Spirit Fusion, unique on the continent, had quite a significant amplification effect. Back then, they had already made a name for themselves, and now they were probably even stronger. Don't bother us until you reach title Douluo, Yu Zhigang snorted coldly. Brother San, do you really not have any spirit bones? Oscar asked softly. Tang San couldn't help but reveal his helplessness. I really don't. My dad never mentioned anything about my mother, let alone spirit bones. He felt extremely wronged at the moment. Then your dad probably gave the spirit bone to the Clear Sky Sect, Dai Mubei said. I've also heard about it from the past. Clear Sky Sect suffered heavy losses, but in the end, they just expelled your dad from the sect without any further action. It's probably because they had that 100,000 years old spirit bone. Looking at the problem from different angles yields different perspectives. To Dai Mubei, being expelled from the sect seemed inconsequential, as if it were no big deal. But Tang San could understand the significance of being expelled from the sect. However, at this moment, he remained silent and didn't speak up. Perhaps my dad's feelings toward the Clear Sky Sect are similar to my feelings toward the Tang Sect, but the Clear Sky Sect's feelings toward my dad might not be the same. Tang San inwardly leaned towards Dai Mubei's speculation. Under the intimidation of the Golden Iron Triangle, the 4 spirit saints left as if nothing had happened. The Shrek team took heavy steps forward. Mubei, there's no need for you to accompany them this time. They're targeting Xiaozhen, Flender said. Dai Mubei shook his head. If he had defeated Dai Wisi in the tournament, he might have graduated directly and returned to the Star Luo Empire. However, Now he and Zhu Xiuqing could only continue to stay at Shrek Academy, continue their studies, and wait for the next Spirit Master competition. Shrek is like a sanctuary now. As for the dangers on the return journey, they wouldn't be fewer than if he and Zhu Xiuqing had left the team and returned to Starluo City. Alright, no matter what, the three of us will bring you back to Heavendao City today, Flender said. The Golden Iron Triangle had encountered such pursuits before. Let's go. At the Pope's Palace. How is it? Have you figured it out? Bidong asked expressionlessly. Been a month since the Spirit Master competition ended, and Spirit Hall's research team still hadn't come up with results on the details and principles of Su Wen's internal strength circulation route. Gathering effect. Among these 30 loops, only 10 are purely for soul gathering, while the other 20 are makeshift routes within other circuits that also produce the same soul gathering effect. Bidong frowned. She didn't doubt the ability of her research team under Spirit Hall. However, the complexity of the internal strength developed by Su Wen was beyond her expectations. It's worth noting that Su Wen had only been practicing for 10 years. At this moment, she had to admit that Su Wen's talent in the soul power circulation route was unparalleled. His insight is remarkable too. Bidong waved her hand, letting the scholars responsible for researching internal strength leave, then turned to Chrysanthemum Douluo. How's it been lately on Clear Sky Sect's side? If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190, The Clear Sky Sect. Whether Tang San has integrated spirit bones within his body, this is something normal spirit masters might not be able to discern. However, with her powerful spiritual power, Bidong can confirm it. Tang San does not have spirit bones. She doesn't believe that Tang San could possess 100,000 years old spirit bone without absorbing it. Tang Hao wouldn't be foolish enough to keep 100,000 years old spirit bone elsewhere rather than on his person. Therefore, the probability is high that the 100,000 years old spirit bone is in the Clear Sky Sect. For the past month, she has been sending more people to keep an eye on the Clear Sky Sect. Once there's any sign of activity from the Clear Sky Sect, she will lead the title Douluo of Spirit Hall to them. It's both a matter of public enmity between the two sides and an opportunity to address personal matters. There's been no activity from the Clear Sky Sect. Although the Clear Sky Sect claims to be reclusive, Spirit Hall can still gather information about its approximate location. However, they have not sent anyone there before, maintaining a state of peaceful coexistence. Upon hearing the report, Bidong narrowed her slender eyes. No activity? The Clear Sky Sect is even more patient than we expected. Tang Hao was killed, his spirit bones were taken away, and yet the Clear Sky Sect hasn't made a single move? Even if they are reclusive, with something as big as the Spirit Master competition happening, the 1 or 2 scouts they left outside could definitely gather information. It's been a month, and there's been no activity. Send Tang Hao's body back to the Clear Sky Sect, Bidong said. Thinking of that pile of minced meat, Chrysanthemum Douluo also felt nauseous. At that time, Su Wen dissected from a distance, completely extracting the spirit bones, with almost all 6 parts being slashed open by his wind blade, exposing flesh and blood. After dealing with matters on the Clear Sky Sect's side, Bidong began to inquire about progress on other fronts. How is the construction of Wisdom Palace? She asked. Currently, with the cooperation of personnel from various Lord and Child Spirit Halls under Spirit Hall, the construction of Wisdom Palace in major cities has been mostly completed. There are also personnel from 7 treasure glazed tile sects stationed in Wisdom Palace, starting to organize and arrange the order of Wisdom Palace. However, up to now, according to reports from 7 treasure glazed tile sect, Wisdom Palace has not yet fully formed. To truly establish it and open it to the public, Su Wen himself needs to develop the mountain of books and sea of knowledge and leave behind many facilities, Chrysanthemum Douluo said, his expression peculiar. Bidong also noticed the change in Chrysanthemum Douluo's expression and asked with a hint of curiosity. Chrysanthemum Douluo explained, I've also puzzled beamed. A few days ago, I personally visited the headquarters of the newly built Wisdom Palace in Heavendao City. He showed an admiring expression. The mountain of books and sea of knowledge is much more impressive than the inheritance crystal Su Wen presented before. It's as if he has completely opened up and solidified a realm of illusion, where any spirit master can enter and learn its knowledge. The method used is similar to the way the inheritance crystal imparts information, allowing for rapid absorption of knowledge. All the learner needs to do is comprehend and understand it with diligence. Now, many spirit masters are gathering towards the headquarters of Wisdom Palace in Heavendao City, joining Wisdom Palace to study various materials in the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. This is not the most shocking part for Chrysanthemum Douluo. What surprised him the most is the quality of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Compared to the simple top 10 competitive knowledge, the knowledge left by Su Wen is categorized and clearly instructive. Cultivation is also different from many theories in our spirit hall today, with a very innovative perspective. It seems to explain that there are no useless martial spirits, only useless spirit masters from the top 10 core competencies. It is more like a more specific practice of this theory, truly guiding the development of various types of spirit masters, martial spirit development and cultivation. One Chrysanthemum Douluo also sighed repeatedly while introducing. According to the introduction of the members of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect who joined Wisdom Palace, if spirit masters have questions that they cannot find answers to from the Mountain of Books or Sea of Knowledge, they can also consult or leave questions behind, waiting for scholars who join Wisdom Palace in the future to gather together regularly to solve the problems left in Wisdom Palace, completely aimed at promoting the pace of all spirit master cultivation. This is even more thorough than Spirit Hall's efforts to promote the development of the Spirit Master world. Bibi Dong couldn't help but show a hint of admiration in her eyes. Su Wen is truly talented, this point cannot be denied. But, among the many Wisdom Palaces, they are too scattered. If they truly selflessly contribute, with so many, without unified top-down management, it's easy to collapse. That's the key. While Wisdom Palace can exert its unparalleled influence on the Spirit Master world for a certain period, sustaining that momentum is very difficult. So, is Su Wen thinking of bringing 7 treasure glazed tile sect and spirit hall together to guard against this situation? Chrysanthemum Douluo speculated. Using the existing framework of spirit hall to ensure the stability of the Wisdom Palace system. However, as a result, Wisdom Palace will sooner or later become a part of Spirit Hall and be assimilated. Chrysanthemum Douluo and Bibi Dong are both looking forward to this. 300 kilometers east of Heavendao City, in an area surrounded by mountains, a small village is nestled within. Smoke curls up from various parts of the village. A leisurely pastoral scene unfolds before the eyes. However, the atmosphere in this recent small village is quite heavy. This is the secluded place of the renowned Clear Sky sect, known as the #1 sect in the world. Breakthroughs in theory, a major transformation in Spirit Master cultivation. With the establishment of Wisdom Palace, the Spirit Master world entered a new era. These 2 points have created a sense of urgency in the secluded Clear Sky sect. Not to mention, there is even more sensational news spreading back with the end of the Spirit Master competition. Clear Sky Douluo Tanghao was single-handedly killed by the Wisdom Palace Grandmaster with the strength of Spirit King, although Su Wen remains low-key. Assisted with the enhancements from Ning Rongrong, in the propaganda of the Spirit Master world, it is still stated that Su Wen single-handedly killed Clear Sky Douluo. Even in just a short month, Grandmaster Su Wen seems to have been deified, becoming the belief of many Spirit Masters. Speaking of Su Wen single-handedly killing title Douluo with the strength of Spirit King, it is unquestionably believed by many, considered natural. But this does not include from the Clear Sky sect. Between the mountains behind the small mountain village, atop a steep peak, in the main hall of the Clear Sky sect, many elders with powerful soul power fluctuations have gathered. Leading them is a middle-aged man with an equally strong soul power fluctuation. If one looks closely, they would notice a resemblance of about 50% to Tang Hao's face. He is none other than the current sect master of the Clear Sky sect, Tang Hao's eldest brother, Tang Xiao. Inside the hall, the atmosphere is heavy. Even Tang Xiao, who is usually calm, is currently experiencing soul power fluctuations, showing signs of barely containing his emotions. Beside Tang Xiao, there is also a woman with an outstanding temperament. Although she naturally exudes a sense of tranquility, her expression at the moment does not match this demeanor. Still determined to come out of seclusion, the second elder spoke up. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 191, Dark Devilga Tiger. No matter what grudge second brother and that Su Wen have, Su Wen's choice of revenge in such a manner is clearly a provocation to our Clear Sky sect, Tang Xiao said slowly, word by word. Even if Tang Hao died at the hands of his enemies, he would seek vengeance. Moreover, Tang Hao didn't just die, he died in such a manner. Tang Xiao could imagine that for the next hundreds, even thousands of years, as long as the Clear Sky sect existed, Tang Hao would likely be remembered as a sinner among the sect's descendants. Shame. Furthermore, across the entire continent, Tang Hao's single combat defeat by a spirit king as the Clear Sky Douluo would also be recorded in the annals of shame. One Su Wen chose such a malicious way to kill Tang Hao, and Tang Xiao could not swallow this anger no matter what. We've understood the current situation outside for a month now, Tang Xiao, you must understand, Su Wen has the backing of the 7 treasure glazed tile sect. If we act against him, it will basically sever our relationship with the 7 treasure glazed tile sect, Elder Tu reminded. Tang Xiao took a deep breath, his eyes bloodshot. Back then, didn't their spirit master from the 7 treasure glazed tile sect amplify Su Wen? Ning Rongrong, if I remember correctly, she's Ning Fengzi's only daughter, right, one of the top 3 sects. It made sense logically, but Tang Hao no longer belongs to the Clear Sky sect. Moreover, the Clear Sky sect has never revealed the truth of that year, causing the 7 treasure glazed tile sect to inexplicably shoulder troubles for the sake of so-called solidarity among the top 3 sects. Although the truth lies in the Clear Sky sect's unreasonable behavior, on this continent, power is the ultimate authority. And the Clear Sky sect possesses such power. Looking at the 5 elders present, Tang Xiao spoke earnestly, Elders, I know you've all endured for a long time. Over these years, each of you has broken through to become titled Douluo. It's time for the Clear Sky sect to rise again. Even if the spirit hall holds 6 great titled Douluo, what can they do? Big brother, Su Wen has now established a wisdom palace, claiming to spread knowledge throughout the continent and has been honored with the title of Master of Literature, Tang Yuhe reminded. By disseminating knowledge, he has cut off the advantages of many sects, Elder Tu exclaimed angrily upon hearing Tang Yuhe's reminder. Before, the old Tu was actually always hoping that Tang Xiao would stick to his inner thoughts and announce the revival of Clear Sky sect. Now, when Tang Yuhe raised the potential obstacles brought by Su Wen's title as Master of Literature, he immediately expressed dissatisfaction. In fact, Tang Yuhe was only giving a reminder and had no intention to persuade her elder brother to give up on the idea of a comeback. It's just that Elder Tu had been waiting for this day for so long, his emotions were too intense. Breaking down knowledge barriers, supporting the common people, weakening sect powers? Is he trying to provoke chaos on the continent? Elder Tu coldly snorted. If we kill him and share his theories with all major sects, who would still stand up for Su Wen? Tu's second brother is right, another elder spoke up in support of Elder Tu. Tang Yuhe also remained silent, offering no rebuttal. Tang Xiao pressed down with both hands, stabilizing the emotions in the hall, and declared. From today onwards, Clear Sky sect will rise again. For Clear Sky sect's revival, the first thing we must do is cleanse the shame of past years. If Spirit Hall intervenes, we'll kill a titled Douluo to liven things up. If Spirit Hall doesn't intervene, then we'll kill Su Wen, wipe away the shame he brought upon Clear Sky sect, and reclaim our sect's inherited spirit bones. Kill Su Wen, reclaim the spirit bones, Elder Tu echoed. Honestly, no one had expected Tang Hao to possess a complete set of spirit bones throughout his body. Moreover, it was said that aside from the Clear Sky sect's premium inheritance spirit bones, the other 4 spirit bones in his set were also top-notch, even considered premium outside, though they fell short compared to Clear Sky sect's 2 inherited spirit bones. 100,000-year spirit bones, none of them were inferior. That's right. Tang Hao's entire body was comprised of tens of thousand-year-old spirit bones that relatively complement each other. Starred out Great Forest. Su Wen was unaware of the changes outside. However, he could roughly guess some of it. Xiaoan, are you sure you want to hunt down the Dark Davilga tiger? Ning Fengzi was shocked by Su Wen's bold statement. The Dark Davilga tiger was an anomaly among spirit beasts. The Dark Davilga tiger is nearly extinct, but it's also one of the top-tier spirit beasts. Legend has it that it was an evil god that descended upon a white tiger, causing it to mutate. Its original light attribute turned into darkness, giving birth to black wings symbolizing corruption, and a scorpion-like evil god's hook. The Dark Davilga tiger advances its cultivation by devouring other spirit beasts, progressing rapidly in strength. It possesses at least 4 attributes: evil, wind, thunder, and strength. There are even rumors that it masters special attributes, enough to challenge opponents one level above its own. In other words, a 10,000 years old dark Davilga tiger might even be able to challenge a 100,000 years old spirit beast. Observing Su Wen's unchanged expression, Ning Fengzi knew that Su Wen had already thoroughly investigated these matters. In the depths of starred out Great Forest, there are traces of a dark Davilga tiger, with a cultivation base of approximately 60 to 70,000 years. Su Wen slowly revealed the information he knew. Hiss, Ning Fengzi took in a sharp breath of cold air. A dark Davilga tiger with 60 to 70,000 years of cultivation? Xiaoan, are you sure you can absorb such a spirit beast? Ning Fengzi asked cautiously. Uncle Ning, rest assured, as long as we can hunt it down, I can absorb it, Su Wen replied confidently. Although his fifth spirit ring was only 45,000 years old, with a normal progression, the sixth ring would be at most 80 to 90,000 years. However, he was not ordinary. After obtaining the fifth ring, he even replaced the previous 3 spirit rings, significantly increasing his body's capacity to endure. 100,000 years old spirit ring was not out of the question. Even if the dark Davilga tiger was formidable at the same level and could fight opponents one tier higher, the difficulty of absorbing its spirit rings should not exceed his capabilities by too much. At most, it could fight opponents one tier higher. Moreover, the increase in difficulty of absorbing its spirit rings fundamentally differs from that of a 100,000-year-old spirit ring. The greater challenge lies more in the spiritual and willpower aspects. In this regard, Su Wen has his own confidence. Good, since you're confident, we will hunt down a dark Davilga tiger for you this time. Ning Fengzi, seeing Su Wen's resolve, ceased persuasion and offered support instead. Heavendao City. Shrek Academy. 2 months have passed since the Spirit Master competition ended. The Shrek team finally returned to the academy in a sorry state. This time, thanks for the help Howling Sky Douluo Yuziagang said to Tang Xiao. Tang Xiao waved his hand, looked at Tang Sen in the team, sighed, and said, this time, the ordeal your Shrek Academy faced was also caused by my younger brother, the potential of the Clear Sky Hammer. Tang Sen shook his head. These days, he could feel Tang Xiao's genuine concern for him. But what he could sense was probably the only genuine concern for him within Clear Sky sect. When they said they had discussed it, it was actually just those elders wanting to use him as a tool for cultivation. Tang Xiao sighed and did not insist on taking Tang Sen back to the sect clearly. He also knew what treatment Tang Sen might receive upon returning to the sect. If you need anything, Tang Yuan can convey it for you. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/YohanLT. Chapter 192, Seeing Through Everything by Yu Xiaogang. 2 months. A full 2 months. It took the Shrek team 2 months to return from Spirit City to Heavendao City. During these 2 months, they encountered numerous assassination attempts. Jingling even lost a leg, his internal soul power meridian shattered, and Tai Long's right arm was severely injured, possibly beyond full recovery. 3 Daimyo Bei and the others accumulated also many hidden injuries, and it is uncertain how long they will take to recuperate. 100,000-year-old spirit bone, even the slightest hope of obtaining it, is enough to drive people mad. Along this journey, Tang Sen and the others truly experienced this fact. Alright, next I will arrange for Xiaozin to prepare sweet pea for your recovery. Additionally, the Academy's healing spirit masters will do their best to treat your internal injuries, Flender said in a deep voice. This time, Shrek had suffered greatly. Even he had sustained many injuries along the way, some of which he was forcibly suppressing. Now, having finally returned to the academy, they could begin to recover. Xiaozin, come with me, Yu Xiaogang called out to Tang Sen and brought him to a separate conference room. Tang Sen appeared to be in the best condition, having used the mysterious heaven skill to fully regulate his internal injuries during the journey, leaving only some external wounds. However, his mental state was extremely poor. In his previous life, he had not experienced familial love. In this life, he finally had parents, but now he had learned that his mother was forced to death early on, and his father was killed in front of him. If it weren't for the need to deal with potential assassinations along the way, he wouldn't have forced himself to maintain his composure. Now, having finally returned to the academy, his state had changed, his eyes vacant and slightly numb. Yu Xiaogang had noticed this and called him out alone to counsel him. Xiaozin, the dead cannot be brought back to life. We both know the injuries Clear Sky Douluo suffered were already extremely fatal. This might have been a release for him. The only hateful one is Su Wen, Tang San's eyes began to show a hint of color. Then, they quickly dimmed again. Su Wen. He's too powerful. Su Wen was only 2 years older, yet possessed such immense strength. What did I, Tang San, do to deserve anything? Even with twin martial spirits, could I truly compare to Su Wen? Xiaozhen, Yu Xiagang's tone became stern. The secret technique Su Wen used at that time was the ring explosion secret technique, a secret of the clear sky sect. You will learn it in the future, and your future spirit rings will definitely be stronger than his. The ring explosion secret technique will enhance you far more than it did Su Wen. Moreover, Xiaozhen, haven't you noticed yet? Su Wen's cultivation speed is extremely unusual. Yu Xiagang seemed disappointed with Tang San, who seemed unable to think clearly at the moment. With Yu Xiagang's hint, a flash of insight appeared in Tang San's mind. Teacher, are you saying that Su Wen's soul power cultivation wasn't achieved by himself? Yu Xiagang shook his head and said, he can control that explosive power, so the soul power must have been cultivated by himself. This point had to be acknowledged. But, at the end of the tournament, he revealed too many techniques, including the soul power circulation route, external strength and internal strength. Along with the spirit ascension method, did he really develop all these on his own? Yu Xiagang didn't believe that a single spirit master could develop so many incredible soul power circulation routes in just 10 years too. You have to understand, every major sect and faction has research teams and experienced scholars working on this. After generations, their soul power circulation routes only slightly surpass the typical advanced meditation techniques. However, the internal strength and external strength techniques Su Wen provided, combining internal and external cultivation, enhance the cultivation effect by more than 10 times that of advanced meditation techniques. It's simply outrageous. While cultivating soul power, he also delved into theories and developed techniques. So where did his techniques come from? Tang San thought of himself and the Tang sect's secret techniques like mysterious heaven skill. Could it be that Su Wen also came from another world, possessing many advanced techniques? But could the Tang sect's mysterious heaven skill really be that inferior to Su Wen's techniques? Yu Xiagang, with his hands behind his back in a knowing expression, said, Xiaozhen, do you remember the Book of 10,000 Techniques that Su Wen showcased during the tournament? The Book of 10,000 Techniques can directly guide spirit masters to learn techniques. Su Wen claimed that the Book of 10,000 Techniques contained many of his self-created techniques and spirit skills. But why can't it be that these techniques and spirit skills actually come from an even older version of the Book of 10,000 Techniques? Tang San's eyes lit up after Yu Xiagang's reminder. Yes, Su Wen must have mastered the original Book of 10,000 Techniques. With its help, he learned many self-created spirit skills, external strength, internal strength, and the spirit ascension method. If only I could obtain it. Yu Xiagang saw through Tang San's thoughts, shook his head, and said, the Book of 10,000 Techniques is just a guess. Moreover, we can't forcibly take it from Su Wen. Teacher, what should we do then? At this moment, Tang San's mind was in disarray, completely lacking his usual calm and wisdom. Yu Xiagang could only sigh inwardly, hoping that Tang San would adjust and recover from this setback. We can't obtain the Book of 10,000 Techniques, but you must first master the external strength, internal strength, and the spirit ascension method. Since Su Wen had openly shared these techniques, Yu Xiagang didn't mind learning the publicly available ones. The construction of other Wisdom Palace branches in different regions wasn't complete yet, but Heaven Dao City already had a functioning Wisdom Palace. It was the only place on the entire continent currently responsible for disseminating Su Wen's various techniques and theoretical materials. 2 months had passed since the end of the Spirit Master competition. After spending over half a month searching in the core area of the starred out Great Forest, Su Wen and his party began searching the outer areas. They finally found traces of the dark Davilga tiger in the mixed zone near the outer perimeter of the starred out Great Forest. Uncle Ning, when fighting this creature, be very cautious of its spatial and temporal abilities, Su Wen warned. Temporal abilities? Su Wen nodded seriously and briefly described the dark Davilga tiger's time-based spirit skill. It can reverse time, causing the enemy to revert to a weaker state while the dark Davilga tiger remains unaffected. Ning Fengzi's expression changed slightly. This was the first time he had heard of such an ability. Could a spirit beast really possess such a power? Considering this, who could possibly defeat the dark Davilga tiger? It's not entirely unaffected. If you can break through its defensive measures, it will also be reverted to a weaker state. However, even in its weakened state, A spirit beast is especially much stronger than a human, one as top tier as the Dark Doulou tiger. Su Wen wasn't certain whether the Dark Doulou tiger would definitely revert him to the period before he awakened his martial spirit at 6 years old, or if this time reversal ratio could be adjusted or interfered with. So, he informed Ning Fengzi and the other two about this in advance. Uncle Ning, you three must be very cautious and guard against this move. Don't take it head on. Leave it to me. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 193. The bigger the storm, the more expensive the fish. Before the age of 6, upon hearing this, Ning Fengzi felt that this spirit skill was practically unsolvable for spirit masters. How could a spirit master who hasn't awakened their martial spirit possibly deal with a spirit beast? And especially a Dark Doulou tiger. Although, according to Su Wen, all its abilities would revert to its weaker state, its memory wouldn't. This roughly means its intelligence wouldn't change either. A 60,000-year-old Dark Doulou tiger, in terms of intelligence, is considered top tier even among humans. A top-tier spirit beast with intelligence, even if reverted to its 6-year-old state, would not be something a 6-year-old child without any power could handle. Xiao, don't take risks. Su Wen waved his hand and said, Uncle Ning, I'm very serious and cautious. I know what I'm doing. He paused and continued, actually, I've been preparing to face the Dark Doulou tiger for a long time now. At present, I'm well prepared in all aspects. Apart from not being sure if my own combat power can surpass its 60,000-year state, all other preparations are complete. 1. The Dark Doulou tiger is one of the spirit beasts with the most diverse and powerful attributes in the Douluo continent. Apart from the Silver Dragon King, Su Wen couldn't think of any other spirit beast with attribute combinations as terrifying as the Dark Doulou tigers. Its evil attribute evolved from the dark attribute alone is enough to rank it among the top-tier spirit beasts, even without considering its wind, thunder, and pure strength attributes, which are powerful attack attributes in their own right. In this configuration, it additionally possesses attributes of time and space. It can be said that the Dark Doulou tiger possesses the most top-tier attribute configuration and formidable strength on the continent. Generally speaking, such attributes actually have little effect on Su Wen's book Martial Spirit. However, every time thoughts of the Dark Doulou tiger's data come to Su Wen's mind, he recalls the original story of the Dark Doulou tiger being slain by Tang Sen and the subsequent events with its life core. In another world, there are 3 major sacred attributes: divine, spiritual, and temporal. If combined with the initial evil attribute provided by the Dark Doulou tiger, there is a hope to create holy power through integration. Moreover, infants born to couples with holy power have a chance to resonate with the way of creation, briefly possessing the power of creation. This is the easiest known power related to creation that Su Wen can acquire. The power of creation formed by the fusion of the gods of destruction and life is too difficult to seek. Compared to the power of creation, it's still easier to obtain the holy power of creation. Su Wen's heavenly book will certainly not be limited to just one book. What he aims to create is a true world. One page, one world, one book, one universe. He has never been one to just talk. Therefore, the holy power of creation is still quite important to him. In this way, the evil and temporal attributes of the Dark Doulou tiger are very important to him. I am like a sword. Chen Zhen's right hand formed a sword gesture, and a massive 7-kill sword soared into the sky behind him. His demeanor changed, exuding a sharp sword aura, as if he had transformed into a sword. The 7th spirit skill. 7-kill True Body. Poison Douluo also immediately displayed his martial spirit True Body. True Body, currently, his soul power has reached level 93, and his martial spirit faintly emanates a dragon's aura. Ning Fengzi felt secretly amazed after sensing Poison Douluo's martial spirit True Body aura. The 7th spirit skill. 7 Treasure True Body. The 7 treasures are sacred, and the 7 treasures are named: first is strength, second is speed, third is soul, fourth is defense, fifth is attack, sixth is enhancement. A total of 6 spirit skills were applied, each enhancing Douluo and Chen Zhen. Feeling the augmentation of his abilities, Douluo was shaken inside. This was his first experience with support at Ning Fengzi's level. The 6 spirit skills increased each of his attributes by 80%. Moreover, Ning Fengzi's 6th spirit skill focused on attribute enhancement, specifically enhancing Douluo's poison attribute, the strongest target for enhancement. Under this layering, Douluo's strength increase was more than just double. It's not just Douluo. Under these blessings, any spirit master's strength increased at least twofold. Chenzin, using the flying sword technique, suspended in midair, integrated each spirit ring around him into the 7-kill sword, forming 9 stars of colors, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 5 black. The 4th star lit up. 4th spirit skill, overlapping sword shadows. In midair, a powerful sword aura burst forth from the 7-kill sword, forming a vortex resembling a tornado or a vortex enveloped a pure black tiger ahead, its tail composed of countless joints, its end a huge barbed hook gleaming with a sinister glow. Roar. The pure black tiger roared fiercely. Powerful soul power fluctuations swept out in all directions, streams of ki condensed into black-red wind blades spreading outward with his soul power, colliding with his sword aura within the vortex. Wind attribute combined with evil attribute spirit skill. Su Wen narrowed his eyes, analyzing the principle behind the abilities displayed by the Dark Doulou Tiger. He couldn't inherit all of Dark Doulou Tiger's abilities with just one spirit skill. He could only absorb the attributes and strength of Dark Doulou Tiger as much as possible when absorbing spirit rings, and then develop corresponding abilities himself. With just one roar, a storm of red wind blades released instantly shattered Chenzin's spirit skill. Another roar echoed out, and in response, the Dark Doulou Tiger's eyes gleamed ominously with red light. Its wings behind it flapped, gathering grey thunderclap that condensed into a ball of grey thunder light. Douluo's expression changed abruptly as he stepped forward. 6th spirit skill, Jade Phosphor Dragon's Breath. Green energy gathered within the immense mouth of the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor, naturally erupting with draconic might. The emerald green energy wave burst forth violently, colliding with a great thunder and lightning ball. Boom. Douluo's expression changed slightly as the Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor glided skillfully across the ground. The Dark Doulou Tiger transformed into a streak of light, instantly dashing out like teleportation, escaping the collision of the thunder and dragon's breath energy clusters. Its demonic hook, originally a curved black hook behind it, suddenly straightened, resembling a long spike, and thrust out violently. Douluo narrowly avoided this attack, immediately creating distance between himself and the opponent. Fortunately, Xiaowen understands it thoroughly. 6th spirit skill, Thousand Swords Return. Chenzin shouted loudly, a vast soul power erupting as he condensed countless sword energies filling the area where the Dark Doulou Tiger was located. This Dark Doulou Tiger, especially concerning was its most sinister ability to turn enemies into children with its attacks. The greater the strength, the higher the value after absorption. After all, the greater the storm, the more precious the fish. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 194, Using All Means. In fact, Chenzin is a 96th level attack type battle spirit master. With Ningfeng Zi's support, he could even be considered as a 97th level super Douluo. Despite the fact that Dark Doulou Tiger's strength not only corresponds to that of a 100,000-year-old spirit beast, but also places it among the top tier of such beasts in terms of strength, it still found itself suppressed in front of Chenzin. Roar. The Dark Doulou Tiger let out and roar. Douluo was too angry troublesome. A Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor, like an annoying snake, crazily entangled it, while a large amount of venom continued to penetrate deeper into its body through the wounds. With its formidable physique, the Dark Doulou Tiger has extremely high resistance to toxins. However, Douluo's poison is not just toxic, it also utilizes his soul power and bursting techniques. The toxins invading its body can erupt and cause damage to the Dark Doulou Tiger. Damage from within is far more deadly than external injuries. This was also a new combat technique developed by Douluo under Su Wen's guidance. 8th spirit skill, 7-kill thunderous eruption. Next to the massive 7-kill sword, 3 sword shadows condensed, each possessing 80% of Chenzin's original strength. The 3 sword shadows charged forward, surrounding Chenzin on both sides. 2nd spirit skill, Spirit Sword Guard. 1 sword shadow released a large amount of sword ki, swirling around Chenzin to form a protective barrier. 6th spirit skill, Thousand Swords Return. The other 2 sword shadows combine their efforts to unleash Thousand Swords Return, with countless sword ki swirling in the sky, converging into 2 rivers of sword energy. The river of sword energy converged with the 7-kill sword's main body, and the 3 rivers of sword energy intertwined and surrounded from the Dark Doulou Tiger different directions. Su Wen watched from the side, gaining a deeper understanding of Chen Xin's abilities and forming some understanding. Honestly, among Chen Xin's spirit skills, except for the second spirit skill Spirit Sword Guard, which is a defensive type, there isn't a single individual attack type spirit skill. In other words, Chen Xin's 7-kill sword actually follows the path of large-scale group attacks. It wasn't until the 9th spirit ring that he compensated for the lack of strong individual burst with a slash of gods and demons. Moreover, his nearly 100,000 years old spirit ring provided slash of gods and demons, which had tremendous power, indeed allowing Chen Xin to catch up completely in terms of individual attacks. Even so, it cannot be denied that Chen Xin's sword is oriented towards group attacks. His first 8 spirit rings had already determined his deeper study into these group attack-oriented spirit skills. Even after obtaining the 9th spirit ring, despite the excessive consumption of the 9th spirit skill, his development of sword techniques would still heavily rely on the preceding spirit skills. These methods akin to rivers of sword energy currently only involve the pure convergence and superposition of sword energy, without the assistance of formations. If formations were integrated, using sword formation methods, the power would undoubtedly be elevated to another level. As the 3 rivers of sword energy descended, the Dark Devilga tiger quickly condensed numerous grey Dark Devilga thunders around its body in a short period. Boom! Continuous explosions engulfed everything in thunder and sword light. Su Wen's gaze sharpened. Elder Sword, Elder Doulou, don't let him escape. Among spirit beasts, the Dark Devilga tiger's intelligence belongs to an extremely high category, not inferior to wise humans at all. It understood the art of patience. Under the suppression of the Titan giant ape and sky azure bull python, he could patiently stay away from the starred out great forest to accumulate strength. Now, returning quietly to the outskirts of the starred out great forest, he devoured spirit beasts discreetly sword and lightning flashes. He endured them all, swiftly leaving the center of the explosion and heading towards the outskirts of the starred out great forest. Douluo sneered. I've been waiting for you, Medusa gaze. Douluo, experienced in numerous battles, was also analyzing the Dark Devilga tiger's abilities during the fight. Even though Su Wen couldn't fully describe the details when introducing it, Douluo deduced that the Dark Devilga tiger's sprint skill, while comparable to teleportation in speed, had its flaws. It needed to move in a straight line to reach its target. After realizing this, he had been preparing his own spirit bone technique, striving to release it in an instant. And now was the time. Under the Medusa gaze, the Dark Devilga tiger's figure petrified and solidified in midair, transforming into a giant statue. 9th spirit skill, Slash of Gods and Demons. 2 shadow swords collaborated to execute Slash of Gods and Demons. One sword shadow seemed divine, while the other seemed demonic. They emitted 2 sword lights, merging into a combination of divine and demonic sword energies. Bursting forth with a mixture of sacred and malevolent aura, they suddenly slashed towards the petrified Dark Devilga tiger. The Dark Devilga tiger's consciousness still existed, only his body was immobilized by petrification. Grayish streams of energy converged as he used the power of the evil god to protect himself. Devilgad protection. Golden body. Boom. The shield formed by the grayish energy violently trembled. It was quickly blurred by Slash of Gods and Demons, yet the sword energy was also worn down by the shield of Devilgad protection. HMPH, I've been waiting for you. 8th spirit skill, Time Freeze. Douluo's soul power poured out madly, enveloping the space within the range of himself and Dark Devilga tiger, causing it to freeze as if solidified. This spirit skill could freeze an area of several thousand square meters. However, with a breakthrough in soul power level, Douluo's mastery of this spirit skill had deepened. Now, he could actively reduce the range to save soul power and enhance the effectiveness. Chen Xin's 7-kill true body itself was not within the range of time freeze at this moment, suddenly erupting with a mixture of divine and demonic sword energy. 9th spirit skill, Slash of Gods and Demons. This powerful bursting spirit skill generally has a long cooldown, but with the sword shadows of the 8th spirit skill, Chen Xin can consecutively use the sword shadows and his main body to execute the 9th spirit skill twice. This strike is even more powerful than the Slash of Gods and Demons previously unleashed by the combined effort of the 2 sword shadows. The Dark Devilga tiger's pupils contracted, and a violent fluctuation flashed in its red eyes. A sinister aura pervaded the surroundings. The devil's hook on its back straightened, resembling spikes, with a black hole quietly forming atop each spike. The black holes rapidly expanded, becoming giant black holes with a diameter of 3 meters. Meanwhile, A shield generated around the dark Doulou tiger, enveloping it within. Chenzin, Douluo, Su Wen, and Ningfengzi all showed signs of concern. Evidently, these black holes were its time reversal ability, capable of pulling individuals into dimensional space and transforming them into their juvenile forms for combat. Su Wen mobilized his spiritual power, exerting full force to unleash spiritual shock across the vast distance. He wasn't certain whether the shield on Dark Doulou Tiger's body could only be shattered by the impact of spiritual power like in the original story with Tang Sen, or if it could be broken by any attack. Nevertheless, this uncertainty did not stop him from making an additional cautious move. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 195, at 6 years old, still fearless. The protection on the Dark Doulou Tiger shattered. Slash of Gods and Demons had its sword key partially nullified, with a remaining attack landing on the Dark Doulou Tiger's body, severely injuring it. Shortly after, the Dark Doulou Tiger was sucked into the Black Hole 3 thanks to Su Wen's early warning. Douluo and Chenzin had already moved far away from the hole black the moment it formed. Terrifying suction erupted from the black hole, but it was limited. Once they were out of a certain range, they were no longer dragged by it. Su Wen and the others stayed 50 meters away from the rotating black hole, watching intently. At the last moment, the Dark Doulou Tiger could only resort to self-destructing. Although Doulou protection was on cooldown, it still had the life and death arena spirit skill, which simultaneously provided a strong shield that blocked the fatal attack from Slash of Gods and Demons. Even if it was sucked into the life and death arena, it would be subjected to time reversal, reverting to its childhood form. However, facing spirit masters, it was not worried. Even against the Titan giant ape, or the Sky Azure Bull Python, the Dark Doulou Tiger remained unconcerned. Because among spirit beasts of the same level, especially in its juvenile form, it was invincible. Su Wen didn't expect this ability could also be used for self-preservation. If an enemy entered the black hole, they would be reverted to childhood and have a fair fight with him. If the enemy didn't enter the black hole, the Dark Doulou Tiger would use the life and death arena to ensure his survival. Su Wen wasn't sure how long the life and death arena would hold, so he wouldn't choose to wait outside the black hole for the Dark Doulou Tiger's return. Entering it means returning to childhood form and fighting to the death with him. Chenzin observed the black hole, seemingly curious about this unique spirit skill. Even Ningfengzi, with his extensive knowledge, was momentarily surprised by this. What if we randomly capture a spirit beast and throw it in, then wait for him to come out and surround and kill him? Douluo suggested. Su Wen shook his head, rejecting the proposal. The decision-making power was currently in their hands, but the cunning Dark Doulou Tiger had this trick as a lifesaver, naturally with something to rely on. So, shall we wait like this? The life and death arena cannot gather two life forms at once. Should we wait for another life to enter, or will the Dark Doulou Tiger be expelled after a certain time limit? We don't know, Su Wen said. But we can wait, we can gamble. However, once a second life enters, with an opponent, as long as the Dark Doulou Tiger doesn't kill them, he might stay in the life and death arena indefinitely. So, we have to go in ourselves and kill him. Ningfengzi frowned, never imagining such a life-saving bug-level spirit skill existed in the world. Indeed, the ability of the life and death arena was more like a life-saving divine skill than a mere trump card. As a fragile support type, Ningfengzi couldn't help but envy it to death. No wonder the Dark Doulou Tiger roams around devouring spirit beasts without being killed by others. Even in his youth, he probably mastered this ability, which is unbeatable for survival, Douluo commented. Now the decision is in our hands. Xiaoan, are you sure you want to go in? Ningfengzi's expression turned serious as he looked at Su Wen. Having the decision-making power, he couldn't help but remind Su Wen once again at this moment. This is a spirit beast we're talking about, and it's the Dark Doulou Tiger. Even though the Dark Doulou Tiger is just 6 years old, in terms of cultivation, it must surpass 10 years. Its actual strength might even be more formidable. Don't worry, Uncle Ning. I am confident that I can kill him, Su Wen said. Taking a deep breath, he slowly approached the black hole. Activating his ultra-sensitive perception, he attentively monitored all changes within himself. Amidst a swirling sensation, Su Wen felt as if his soul power was being locked down, gradually regressing. His sea of consciousness was also slowly being resealed. Even his physical condition was regressing. In every aspect, except for his memories and consciousness, even his martial spirit, which had evolved multiple times, reverted to its initial form. All seals and restraints included the source soul power operating within the martial spirit space. Even some minor injuries intentionally disappeared by Su Wen along with everything else. Everything was flowing back to the state he was in at 6 years old. Arriving in the life and death arena, Su Wen saw his enemy. At this moment, the dark Davilga tiger's tail had become an ordinary tiger's tail, and the evil god hooks at its tail were pitifully small, devoid of any energy fluctuations. Its main body had shrunk to only 1.5–8 meters, much smaller than its previous meters. If it was immensely ferocious before, now the dark Davilga tiger looked exceptionally cute, more like a large black cat. Better than expected. You haven't regressed to your 6-year-old self, but rather to the theoretical stage of a 6-year-old spirit beast. Spirit beasts start at a minimum of 10 years old, because anything under 10 years isn't considered a spirit beast, but rather a gradually mutating body that begins to strengthen. Once soul power emerges, it's classified as a spirit beast, directly as a 10-year-old spirit beast. At this moment, the dark Davilga tiger was devoid of any trace of soul power. Its eyes still held intelligence, devoid of confusion. As it looked at Su Wen, there was a hint of surprise. Because even in its juvenile state, it could discern that the person who entered was neither the two-titled Douluo from before nor the auxiliary spirit master. Instead, it was that guy who had always been on the sidelines. The red eyes of the dark Davilga tiger flashed with hostility. How could it not guess that the one who needed its spirit ring this time was precisely the person before it? My martial spirit has also fallen into silence, just like its state before awakening, Su Wen sighed. Listening to Su Wen muttering to himself all this while, the dark Davilga tiger didn't immediately launch an attack. Instead, it observed Su Wen like prey, continuing to assess the current situation. The only thing that displeased it was that Su Wen at this moment showed no signs of panic. This is a hunter's failure. He roared like a fierce tiger. Everything of mine has reverted to before I was 6 years old, including my strength and body. Su Wen looked at the dark Davilga tiger and grinned. But what is the meaning of cultivation, and what is the essence of strength? Its experience, skills, and insight. He communicated with his martial spirit space. Even though his talent had regressed to the level before he was 6 and he could only sense the situation inside his body, Su Wen had the experience of sensing his martial spirit space with his original talent. Even though his cultivation had regressed to its initial state, he instantly sensed his martial spirit space. And now, in his martial spirit space, the faint source soul power was drifting unconsciously. Back then, I did have source soul power. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 196, Death of the Dark Davilga Tiger. Welcome to the life and death arena. Only when one side dies can this life and death battle end, and you can leave this space. Countdown initiated. 1. A strange voice echoed from all directions in this space. The life and death arena reverted Su Wen's state to before he awakened his martial spirit, but it couldn't be said to have locked him into the state. Even if it did lock him, Su Wen could still use this source soul power. It's just that it would be more troublesome in the end. At this moment, it's just a regression, not a lock, which is good news for Su Wen. Have you witnessed the awakening process of a martial spirit? Su Wen looked at the dark Davilga tiger and asked. One dark Davilga tiger, still displeased that Su Wen showed no fear and instead maintained a cheerful attitude, grimaced upon hearing Su Wen's question. That's how my martial spirit awakened back then, he replied. Su Wen mobilized his source soul power, urging his own martial spirit. Without external force, under his own stimulation, the martial spirit sealed within his martial spirit space finally unsealed. A dusty book appeared in Su Wen's right hand. Same sensation, different experience. This time, Su Wen immersed himself fully in the moment of his martial spirit's awakening, as if experiencing a wondrous process. The awakening of a martial spirit is also the awakening of a spirit master, Su Wen earnestly said to Dark Davilga Tiger. Truly, I must thank you for allowing me to experience this process again. The Dark Davilga Tiger had completely lost patience. At this moment, the countdown in the ethereal voice finally ended. No fear at all. This human is too annoying, I must kill him. None had ever mobilized soul power, let alone initiated their own martial spirit awakening here. He had a bad feeling about this. However, it was too late. Su Wen's perception delved deeper into his martial spirit space. After the martial spirit awakened, the meager source soul power was only at the 4th level. Su Wen decided to finally control his soul power. He only released a tiny strand, spreading it through his martial spirit space towards a certain direction. The remaining source soul power transformed into Su Wen's own soul power after the martial spirit awakened. Level 5 soul power. Inside the martial spirit space, that strand of source soul power carried Su Wen's consciousness beyond the sea of consciousness. Open, Su Wen's strand of source soul power did not crash against the barriers of the sea of consciousness. Its purpose was simply to extend Su Wen's consciousness. It assisted Su Wen in sensing his sea of consciousness and the entities within it. The sea of consciousness was also rewound, along with his spiritual power. But one thing remained unchanged. That is Su Wen's will. The visualized world he perceived and condensed through his will did not dissipate. Even though the visualization technique was initially constructed based on Su Wen's spiritual power, over time, as Su Wen comprehended the artistic conception of the ice and fire yin-yang well and deeply understood various artistic conceptions while traveling the continent, the foundation of the visualized world gradually transitioned from spiritual power. The current foundation of the visualized world is the special artistic conceptions Su Wen comprehended. As long as the artistic conceptions exist, the visualized world exists. The visualized world trembled internally, and the sea of consciousness was successfully opened. Roar, a gigantic black cat-like beast lunged at Su Wen. Although it had reverted to its juvenile form, it still measured 1.5 meters in length and retained a terrifying ferocity. The only thing to watch out for is the consumption of soul power. Su Wen meticulously controlled his soul power, not wasting a single bit. The fireball emitted a burst of explosive energy, booming and blasting Dark Devilga Tiger away. Roar! Dark Devilga Tiger roared angrily at the life and death arena, seemingly accusing it of cheating. He's cheating. However, there was no response. Seeing this, Su Wen didn't rush to continue clashing with Dark Devilga Tiger. Rather than fighting, he was more interested in further studying this life and death arena. It could be said that this spirit skill of Dark Devilga Tiger not only created the life and death arena but also allowed him to transport himself and others here. Of course, research was secondary. The main was that the longer he delayed, the greater Su Wen's advantage became. This life and death arena is indeed terrifying, even causing Su Wen's fusion with his martial spirit to revert to its initial state. However, Su Wen used visualization to instantly achieve the operation of internal strength in his current state just after awakening his martial spirit. As internal strength took shape, although Su Wen's soul power did not instantly break through to a higher level, its recovery speed was extremely high. Especially with the assistance of the visualized world in refining external energy, Su Wen could now recover almost as much soul power as he expended. Having completed this operation, Su Wen finally breathed a sigh of relief. Alright, obediently transform into my spirit ring now. He exerted force under his feet, soul power erupted, and a strong wind propelled him forward. There were also currents swirling around his body, reducing resistance as he moved. Throughout this process, his soul power remained undiminished because he could recover as much as he expended. Roar, unfair, one Dark Devilga Tiger bolted. Facing Su Wen, who possessed soul power and seemed to be able to spend it freely within the 5th level of soul power, he was already feeling fearful. Having soul power and not having soul power were two completely different concepts. He fled, and Su Wen pursued. He couldn't escape even if he had wings. Su Wen's speed was not slow. He quickly caught up to the Dark Devilga Tiger, and a sphere the size of an egg formed from converged wind hovered above his right hand. Miniature Ascension 1. There wasn't much soul power left. Nevertheless, even with a small amount, the damage from the miniature Ascension was terrifying. Su Wen quickly hurled the miniature Ascension in his hand. Boom, lunged sideways, but the exploding wind from the Ascension grazed his left hind leg, leaving a scar from the burst of wind blades. Su Wen once again began to consume soul power to condense the Ascension. Starting as a sphere formed by wind the size of a pinky finger, it expanded as Su Wen continued to expend soul power, eventually reaching the size of an egg. He threw it again. Boom. Boom 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 boom. The Dark Devilga turned tiger to roar at Su Wen. By now, his flesh was mangled. He gave up resistance. This time, it was a done deal. He surrendered. Boom. Another miniature Ascension struck the Dark Devilga Tiger squarely in the head. Everything around started distorting, space shattered, endless darkness surged forth, and Su Wen's body disappeared from the spot. Douluo continent waiting for the outcome. Bang! The massive body of the dark Doulou tiger suddenly fell to the ground and a strange, entirely black bead shot out from the corpse, emitting a green and blue glow. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197, Titan Giant Ape and Sky Azure Bull Python. At the same time as the dark Doulou tiger's corpse appeared, Su Wen returned unscathed to his original position. Is it over? The moment they noticed the change, Douluo, Chen Xin, and Ningfengzi became alert. They breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing the dark Doulou tiger's corpse and Su Wen intact, emitting cyan and blue light appeared. Su Wen immediately locked onto it. He reached out to grab the bead. However, the bead seemed incredibly spirited, evading Su Wen's hand and flying towards the side. A crack opened in space, and the black bead seemed about to enter this rift. Su Wen remained composed and unleashed his fifth spirit skill. The space crack in front of the bead seemed blocked, overshadowed by the arrival of another spatial domain, and the black bead ended up entering Su Wen's illusionary realm. With a casual gesture, Su Wen grabbed the black bead within the illusionary realm. It's quite similar to the void silver moon taper, Su Wen muttered. Is this a common trait among top-tier spirit beasts? Geez, they have all sorts of tricks even in death. The void silver moon taper was one thing. After death, it integrated more residual souls into its spirit ring to retaliate against Su Wen, preparing to perish together. But the dark Doulou tiger was different. It directly integrated its own soul into this lifebound bead. As long as the bead escaped and its soul remained intact, it would have escaped calamity. Su Wen furrowed his brows, recalling that in his previous life, when he read the protagonist fuse with a pearl, there was no remnant soul of the dark Doulou tiger involved. Thinking of his flamboyant demeanor in the life and death arena, Su Wen nodded thoughtfully. So, did the dark Doulou tiger foresee its inevitable death and make such preparations? Indeed, there was a trace of the evil god's power emanating at that time. No wonder it's a super-level spirit beast, completely illogical. It can even unleash its innate abilities in the life and death arena. Su Wen pocketed the lifebound bead of the dark Doulou tiger and glanced at the recent special crack. He used the illusionary realm to stabilize this crack. He hadn't had time to feel the lifebound bead of the dark Doulou tiger when he captured it earlier, but now Su Wen began to carefully examine it. Xiaoan, absorb the spirit ring as soon as possible, Ningfengzi reminded. The recent battle had caused quite a stir. Aside from the trouble of other human spirit masters coming to investigate, what was most worrying were the Titan Azure Giant Ape and the Sky Bull Python. In the Stardew Great Forest, these two were absolute tyrants. With the dissipation of the dark Doulou tiger's aura, these two tyrants would certainly come to investigate. Su Wen remained unruffled. He integrated his spiritual power into the power of space and permeated it through the special crack before him. Vast continent, he took a deep breath. Although he couldn't clearly sense the situation on the other side, he was certain it wasn't Douluo land. Retracting the illusionary realm, the special crack quickly returned to its original state. Su Wen frowned as he looked at the lifebound bead of the dark Doulou tiger in his hand. This fellow seemed to possess coordinates leading to other dimensions. After stowing away the lifebound bead, Su Wen then turned his gaze to the corpse of the dark Doulou tiger. Spirit ring to fit it onto himself. Boom. Within the spirit ring's soul power was a chilling aura, filled with extreme malice and intense unwillingness, thick resentment rooted within this soul power. Perhaps influenced by this will, the soul power within the dark Doulou tiger's spirit ring was exceptionally powerful, several times stronger than the impact of a spirit ring from the same year limit. Simultaneously, a gray aura penetrated Su Wen's sea of consciousness. Wave after wave of resentment continued to generate within Su Wen's sea of consciousness. However, none of this had a significant impact on him. 3 days later, Su Wen opened his eyes. Absorbing the dark Doulou tiger's spirit ring was much easier than he had imagined. This also confirmed his speculation that the dark Doulou tiger had used the power of the evil god at the last moment to merge his soul into the lifebound bead 3. The remaining resentment in the spirit ring was almost non-existent, only symbolically impacting Su Wen's sea of consciousness. Unable naturally to cause any pressure on Su Wen's surplus power on the spiritual level, Even though the soul power in the spirit ring was mixed with various evil intentions, Su Wen quickly refined it. Roar, moo, two voices carrying a terrifying sense of oppression resounded, causing Su Wen's expression to slightly change. He looked towards the depths of the starred out great forest. The Titan giant ape and sky azure bull python, Ning Fengzi's face turned grave as he released his martial spirit, ready to amplify Chenzin and Douluo at any moment. The two titled Douluo hadn't fully recovered to their peak state yet. Two massive figures appeared in the sky. One was a gigantic black ape with a completely black body, with only its eyes emitting a yellowish crystal gloss, resembling a small mountain. Next to the black ape stood a spirit beast with a bull's head and snake body, entirely black and cyan in color. The diameter of its bull head alone exceeded 4 meters, and its massive snake body was thicker than a water barrel. The four lantern-like eyes of these beasts were fixed on Su Wen and his group. Su Wen felt a strong sense of oppression. Titan giant ape and sky azure bull python. On the shoulder of the Titan giant ape, Su Wen also saw a familiar figure. "It's you, Su Wen," Xiao Wu exclaimed. "Daming, Erming, it was they who forced me to come back." She pointed at Su Wen and Douluo back then. "They were the ones who wanted to kill me and absorb my spirit ring." As Xiao Wu's voice fell, the soul power of the two super spirit beasts suddenly surged. Chenzin snorted coldly, immediately summoning the 7-kill sword, gathering a terrifying sword aura around him. The sharp sword intent was released, intimidating the 200,000-year-old spirit beasts. Douluo also had his martial spirit possess him, his whole body permeated with intense blue phosphorus poison intended to detonate the intense poison. Sure enough, as Chenzin and Douluo erupted, the two super spirit beasts also calmed down. Although this place was only on the outskirts of the starred-out great forest, it still gathered many spirit beasts. In just an instant, Douluo's poison had spread to a radius of hundreds of meters. If you were to detonate it completely, it was very likely to cover an area of tens of kilometers in all directions. This would be a terrifying disaster for the spirit beasts around the starred-out great forest. At the same time, the sword aura fluctuations from Chenzin made them fear deep inside. Most importantly, they were too close to the outskirts here. In a fight and retreat scenario, the opponents could completely exit the range of the starred-out great forest. In the uncertain situation of whether it was a trap, the two super spirit beasts clearly were unwilling to leave the range of the starred-out great forest. "Daming, Erming, this is the corpse of Dark Devilga Tiger," she exclaimed. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 198, Who Absorbed the Spirit Ring? What? Daming and Erming noticed a corpse of the Dark Devilga Tiger only after Xiao Wu's reminder. Moreover, it seems the Dark Devilga Tiger's spirit ring has already been absorbed. "You actually killed a Dark Devilga Tiger." Daming and Erming felt a bit apprehensive. The main reason was that they didn't see too many injuries on the four of them, Su Wen included. Although upon closer inspection, they could tell that Chenzin and Douluo were not on their peak condition, the fact that they weren't seriously injured was what mattered. This indicated that they had not paid a heavy price to kill the Dark Devilga Tiger. Even though they were no longer at their peak, their current condition could at least replace at least one of the two. Besides, Xiao Wu was also present. "Human, leave starred-out great forest," Daming roared like a bull, erupting with terrifying intimidation. The Titan giant ape also had a soul power eruption, with a terrifying power fluctuation spreading out, like a volcano about to erupt at any moment. "Uncle Ning, let's go," Su Wen whispered. 3 pages of the book merged into their bodies, integrating quickly and sprouting azure wings. Su Wen waved his right hand, and the illusionary realm quietly descended to take away the Dark Devilga Tiger's corpse. Azure godwine wings appeared behind him as he swiftly flew backwards. The four quickly flew towards the outskirts of starred-out great forest. Although titled Douluo could already fly, their flying efficiency was not as good as Su Wen's godwine wings. Chenzin's flying sword technique naturally burst out faster, but it didn't match Su Wen's godwine wings in endurance. Douluo's Jade Phosphor Serpent Emperor martial spirit was not adept at flying to begin with, and its flying speed was inferior to Su Wen's godwine wings. Watching Su Wen and the other three leave, the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python did not pursue. "Daming, Erming, why didn't you attack them?" Xiao Wu said anxiously. "Xiao Wu, they were able to kill the Dark Devilga Tiger, their strength is not weak. It's better to avoid conflict if possible. This is not the core area, just the outskirts." If there are other human-titled Douluo behind them, we might be ambushed if we pursue, Ming said to Erming and Xiao Wu slightly thoughtfully. Xiao Wu glanced at Erming, who nodded along with her and rolled her eyes. Erming looked at Xiao Wu and gave an awkward silly laugh. Spirit City. Pope's Hall. Your Holiness, there's news from the starred out Great Forest. It seems that Ningfengzi, Chenzhen, Douluo, and Su Wen were seen, Chrysanthemum Douluo said. Oh? What were they doing in the starred out Great Forest? Bidong asked. According to reports, there was a strong battle disturbance in the outer periphery of the starred out Great Forest, caused by the conflict between spirit masters and spirit beasts. At the time, the surrounding spirit masters were of low level, so the assessment wasn't very accurate, but it was confirmed that the spirit beasts were at least of the 80,000-year level. There were strong sword energy, poison gas, and the radiance fluctuations enhanced by the 7 treasure-glazed tile pagoda spreading out. Due to the intense battle disturbance and the presence of low-level spirit masters in the vicinity, Chenzhen and Douluo maintained soul power deterrence throughout the following days, preventing any spirit master from daring to approach and investigate the situation. Later, the Titan Giant Ape and Sky Azure Bull Python were reportedly seen, and both sides did not engage in conflict. Subsequently, in Starfall Village, someone spotted Ningfengzi and the others, explained Chrysanthemum Douluo, detailing the sequence of events. Bidong listened to the entire intelligence report, a pensive look flashing in her narrow eyes. Chrysanthemum Douluo had just received the information and was now reporting it, still digesting and speculating. With such a setup, they should be hunting spirit rings, but who among those 4 would need spirit rings? Sword Douluo Chenzhen and Poison Douluo Douluo already have all 9 spirit rings gathered, so they naturally wouldn't need spirit rings. That leaves only Su Wen and Ningfengzi. Ningfengzi, with his martial spirit 7 treasure-glazed tile pagoda, has already attached 7 spirit rings and cannot attach more spirit rings. So, is it Su Wen? But how is that possible? How could he do it so quickly? He's only 16. Moreover, that spirit beast was at least of the 80,000-year level, possibly even on par with spirit beasts like the Titan Giant Ape and Sky Azure Bull Python who arrived later. At the very least, it's the top-tier spirit beast, possibly even a super spirit beast. Absorbing spirit rings from such creatures is far more difficult than ordinary 80,000-year-old spirit rings. Su Wen absorbing a spirit ring of this level is impossible, isn't it? Even leaving aside whether he could absorb such a spirit ring, it's already beyond belief for Su Wen to reach rank 60 at the age of 16. Achieving rank 50 at 16 is already somewhat unbelievable, and could barely be explained by Su Wen's numerous cultivation techniques. Said the eerie voice of Ghost Douluo. Chrysanthemum Douluo narrowed his eyes, pondering his partner's meaning. Looking in the wrong direction from the start? Why can't Ningfengzi absorb an 8th spirit ring? Of course, the 7 treasure-glazed tile pagoda can only absorb. Chrysanthemum Douluo's voice trailed off gradually until it was gone. He thought of Ningrongrong. In the Spirit Master competition, Su Wen shined too brightly, overshadowing any other genius emerging in this edition of the competition. 3 months ago, during the Spirit Master competition, Ningrongrong partnered with Su Wen, and her martial spirit evolved into the 9 treasure-glazed tile pagoda. Moreover, she is Ningfengzi's daughter, said Ghost Douluo in a gloomy tone. If his daughter's martial spirit can evolve, why can't his martial spirit evolve? But he displayed his martial spirit at the end of the competition, replied Chrysanthemum Douluo. At that time, it was still in the form of the 7 treasure-glazed tile pagoda. Perhaps it was to mislead outsiders. After all, if the fluctuations from their battle hadn't alarmed so many people, we probably wouldn't have known that they disappeared and went to starred out Great Forest to hunt spirit beasts. One Bibidong listened to Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo's conversation without interruption. She also only noticed from Ghost Douluo's reminder that Ningrongrong's martial spirit evolved into the 9 treasure-glazed tile pagoda. If the 7 treasure-glazed tile sect indeed masters the technique of martial spirit evolution, then Ningfengzi's display of his martial spirit at the competition also seems suspicious of misleading outsiders. However, Bibidong couldn't completely dismiss the speculation that Su Wen absorbed the 6th spirit ring. After all, Su Wen has already shattered many impossibilities. Pay attention to the recent movements of Su Wen and Ningfengzi, gather information about them, and determine who absorbed the spirit ring. Regardless of who obtained the spirit ring, it holds significant meaning. Starfall Village. Xiaoan, it's time for you to get busy too. There's news from the sect that the construction of wisdom palaces in major cities within the Heaven Dao Empire is almost complete, except for your mountain of books and sea of knowledge, Ning Fengzi said to Su Wen after reviewing the latest intelligence. Su Wen wasn't surprised by this. The sensation caused by the Spirit Master competition destined that the construction of wisdom palaces in major cities across the continent would proceed extremely rapidly. The only question remained whether the wisdom palaces could be sustained in the long term. As for this question, Su Wen had long had an answer. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 199, The Dawn of a New Era. After disappearing for 3 months, Su Wen reappeared in front of the world, directly arriving at the Wisdom Palace branch in Suachuo City. Master Wen, you've finally arrived. Su Wen's reputation was immense. Now, at the entrance of the Wisdom Palace, a large number of spirit masters had gathered, all eagerly waiting a meeting with Su Wen. This left Su Wen somewhat speechless. Wasn't Douluo continent supposed to be a primitive society? Why were they still engaging in this celebrity-chasing behavior? Master Wen, our Suachuo City Lord and the Hall Master of the Suachuo City Spirit Hall, responded immediately after the Spirit Master competition. They completed the construction of the Wisdom Palace in just 1 month. The credit must go to the staff who quickly conveyed how proactive the 2 important figures from Suachuo City were in constructing the Wisdom Palace. Su Wen nodded. You've worked hard, not at all. Master Wen, being the first to come to our Suachuo City branch to establish the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge, is already an honor for our Wisdom Palace branch in Suachuo City. This staff member seemed to hold several positions, acting as a mouthpiece for the 2 important figures while also serving as a deacon in the current Wisdom Palace branch here. I've long heard of the name Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge in Heaven Dao City's Wisdom Palace, but unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to experience it yet, the deacon said, looking at Su Wen with an expectant expression. Master Wen, please establish the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge for our Suachuo City Wisdom Palace branch. A few words couldn't avoid the topic of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. Not just this deacon, but many spirit masters here now constantly talk about the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge. There's no way around it, they've been anticipating it for too long. The name Master Wen has spread far and wide, and his ideals are respected. However, the truth is, the construction of the Suachuo City Wisdom Palace branch was completed 2 months ago. Until now, the branch has just been a decoration, repeatedly disappointing people's expectations. Now that Su Wen has finally arrived, they only wish to enjoy the treatment of the Mountain of Books and Sea of Knowledge at the earliest opportunity. Su Wen sighed inwardly, similar to the Spirit Hall, inevitably leading to various conflicts and contradictions over minor details. These are things Su Wen cannot control. As long as the fundamental mission of the Wisdom Palace remains unchanged, he will not intervene. Knowledge is power. This is guiding the people of Douluo continent and spirit masters to believe in knowledge, the arrival of the next realm. Following the deacon all the way to the main hall of the Wisdom Palace. The construction of the entire Wisdom Palace is grand and magnificent, showing its grandeur while ensuring convenience. There are entrances and exits on all sides, with 8 main gates leading directly to the central hall of the Wisdom Palace. Inside the hall, it is empty. Already, hundreds of spirit masters have gathered around the hall. As Su Wen appeared, their gazes also converged on him. Temporarily ignoring these heated gazes, Su Wen surveyed the layout of the hall, then summoned his own martial spirit. Yellow, purple, black, black. The spirit masters present looked at the terrifying configuration of spirit rings, each breathing heavily. This is Master Wen. Page split off, and in an instant, it seemed as though an entire world appeared within it. The 4 major elements of earth, fire, water, and wind converged and flowed into the page. The energy of heaven and earth continuously integrated into it, solidifying and materializing the page. Like the opening of heaven and earth, a virtual space was created within the page. Boom! Inside the hall, many spirit masters heard a thunderous sound, their gazes focused on the page, which was no longer just a sheet of paper but seemed like a separate space. Within this space, everything was dreamlike. Is this an illusion? Some spirit masters were secretly shocked, because they sensed traces of illusion techniques on the page. But could it be that everything just now was an illusion again? Opening the space, is it false? Su Wen ignored others' opinions and began planning the layout within this virtual space. Inside the visualized world, Numerous floating book projections appeared in the space, instantly gathering countless rays of Su Wen's knowledge and theories. Within the mountain of books and sea of knowledge, and the mountain of books and sea of knowledge space was divided by Su Wen. There were two prominent areas, mountain of books and sea of knowledge. In addition to the mountain of books and sea of knowledge areas, Su Wen also planned many mimetic environment locations within this space, with environments corresponding to the four elements at the edges of the space. Comparison with Heaven Dao City's mountain of books and sea of knowledge, Su Wen's newly established mountain of books and sea of knowledge is evidently more sophisticated. It's no longer just two simple orbs of light. Suddenly, the book page in Su Wen's hand enlarged, and within it, a world seemed to unfold directly before everyone's eyes, landing on a high platform at the center of the hall. The page emitted a radiant light, causing the entire scene in the hall to transform. What brilliant illusion techniques! Although they deeply respected Su Wen, there were always those among the gathered spirit masters who wanted to peek into how Su Wen achieved all this. Among them were 3 spirit kings proficient in illusion techniques. Normally, spirit masters adept in illusion techniques were exceedingly rare. Yet now 3 of Spirit King level had appeared simultaneously in Suachuo City. However, even these 3 proficient Spirit Kings could only be amazed at Su Wen's methods at this moment. The contents within the book page's virtual space seemed to project outward, transforming the entire hall into another world. That's the mountain of books, that's the sea of knowledge. Sounds of astonishment echoed as some spirit masters couldn't restrain themselves and hurried to touch the glowing books in the mountain of books and sea of knowledge. It really directly implants into the mind, such a miraculous method. After receiving a certain amount of information, these spirit masters found themselves back in the hall. Each person's constitution is different, and the amount of knowledge they can accept varies. After you digest what you've learned today, you can enter the mountain of books and sea of knowledge again, Su Wen kindly reminded them. In the future, when entering, don't blindly search for information to absorb. You need to learn to discern what you need and what is useless on your own, understood? Spirit Masters one by one expressed their gratitude with clasped hands. Thank you, Master Wen, for your guidance. Seeing this, Su Wen felt a surge of emotion. Fortunately, he had crossed over into this era. If it were 20,000 years later, the Spirit Masters on the continent probably wouldn't be so cooperative. Su Wen waited in the hall. For their first time entering the mountain of books and sea of knowledge, even if some could resist touching the information and instead observe the space, they were in the minority. Those who could resist touching the information at all were non-existent. Just 5 minutes later, the hundreds of spirit masters who had entered earlier gradually came back to awareness. I am continuously improving the mountain of books and sea of knowledge. By fixing the mountain of books and sea of knowledge in this location, it will inevitably be inconvenient for anyone who wishes to enter. Several spirit masters slightly deeply in agreement. Even though the largest gathering is the first time, even after stability, there will inevitably be queues every day to enter the main hall of Winsome Palace. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. Chapter 200, Spirit Seal. There's no need for everyone to worry about this. I already have a solution, Su Wen said calmly. Hearing this, the spirit masters all breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Su Wen curiously. Although they couldn't understand Su Wen's abilities, they still wanted to see how Su Wen would solve the problem. The illusion-type spirit masters were the most eager at this moment. During the previous mountain of books and sea of knowledge, the 3 of them meticulously examined every inch and only realized the principle of Su Wen's mountain of books and sea of knowledge after receiving the knowledge inheritance and returning to the main hall. 1. He actually created an illusory space, not projected outside, but pulling people into it. 1. As the illusion was lifted, the consciousness of the spirit masters pulled into it would return. Just now, their actions could be completely seen as taking place in another virtual space. Su Wen left the central hall and came to the other rooms outside the hall. He continued to create special pages, each falling into the center of their respective rooms, quietly suspended. Unlike the pages in the main hall, after Su Wen completed these pages, there was no mountain of books and sea of knowledge, nor did they seem to possess any special abilities. The spirit masters were not anxious, waiting for Su Wen's arrangement. Finally, after arranging one by one in the 36 rooms outside the main hall, Su Wen finally activated it. The world in a book unfolded. Suddenly, the pages in the 36 rooms burst into light simultaneously, with special patterns flowing above them, and soul power resonating between the pages. Meanwhile, On the high platform at the core of the main hall, where the pages carrying the mountain of books and sea of knowledge were located, they also resonated. Heaven and earth energy gathered. The pages in the main hall gradually changed, forming a complete book like Suachuo City. There are only tens of thousands of spirit masters. As long as it's arranged properly with reasonable scheduling, there's no need to worry about wasting time in queues. Furthermore, the operation of this mountain of books and sea of knowledge also requires soul power support. When you enter to study, it will consume a certain amount of soul power. Consider it as tuition, Su Wen said casually. Regarding this, no one had any objections. If the tuition is just soul power, they can afford it completely. This is something every spirit master has, completely renewable. As long as it's not saving up a month's worth of soul power just to qualify for one entry into the mountain of books and sea of knowledge. Different levels of spirit masters have different burdens when it comes to the mountain of books and sea of knowledge, so the fees vary. Basically, only 1/3 of your total soul power is needed to support the consumption of information that matches your level. As for the remaining 2/3, you can also use them for other operations within the mountain of books and sea of knowledge space. Other operations. Su Wen returned to the main hall again, followed by a group of spirit masters. He approached the book on the high platform of the main hall, infused it with soul power, and the book radiated brightly. After a wave of soul power fluctuations, a page of book appeared in Su Wen's hand, which transformed into the appearance of his heavenly book martial spirit. In the future, each spirit master can come to the main hall to receive their spirit seal, similar to a spirit master's token. Its function is quite simple. Actually, it helps you to actively enter and exit the mountain of books and sea of knowledge space. Actively enter and exit. Upon hearing Su Wen's description of its function, the spirit masters were immediately intrigued, eager to step forward and try to receive their spirit seal. Su Wen did not stop them. In fact, he encouraged them, saying, "Go ahead. Every spirit master should obtain a spirit seal to make it more convenient for learning in the Wisdom Palace." A spirit master stepped forward, infused soul power into the book, and a page of the book floated into his hand, eventually transforming into a small disc the size of a palm, which was his martial spirit. Not only within the rooms, but the entire Wisdom Palace is actually within the range where the mountain of books and sea of knowledge space can receive signals. By using soul power to activate the spirit seal, you can stimulate the core of this space and guide yourselves into the illusionary space. Spirit seals can only maintain their effect for a limited time, dissipating after 3 months at most, so everyone needs to come here to get a new one every 3 months. It took a full day for all the spirit masters gathered at the Wisdom Palace to receive their spirit seals and experience the mountain of books and sea of knowledge space before leaving satisfied. Su Wen sought out the person in charge here. "Master Wen." Ning Yuan bowed with an expression of admiration. Su Wen nodded and said, "In the future, the maintenance of order in the Suachuo City branch of Wisdom Palace should also be taken seriously. Gather the spirit masters in my name to ensure this." Yes, Ning Yuan will not disappoint Master Wen's trust. Furthermore, Wisdom Palace's goal is not only to spread knowledge but also to develop theoretical research. Therefore, invite all renowned scholars within Suachuo City to join Wisdom Palace. Yes, Su Wen delegated the tasks and then left Suachuo City. His workload was substantial. This involved the construction of wisdom palaces across the entire continent. It was even more challenging than building spirit halls because Su Wen personally arranged the mountain of books and sea of knowledge for each branch of Wisdom Palace. Heavendao City. Shrek Academy. Tang San's face darkened as he fiercely threw the list in his hand onto the ground. "Teacher, the people in this Wisdom Palace are definitely targeting us." 2 months after the Spirit Master competition ended, the Shrek group, returned to Heavendao City. They tried to join the Wisdom Palace to obtain techniques. However, the facilities at the Wisdom Palace in Heavendao City were outdated. Staff there were responsible for registering spirit masters who needed to use the mountain of books and sea of knowledge and managing the queues. Then, they waited for a full 2 months. 2 months passed, and there was still no sign. Tang San's expression turned gloomy, knowing that they were being deliberately targeted. Otherwise, even with more people, they should have been able to schedule an appointment within a week after registering. Now, there were spirit masters who not only learned techniques but also started studying using the mountain of books and sea of knowledge. HMPH, they talk about equal treatment, education without discrimination. But it's one thing in front of us and another behind our backs. Flender cursed angrily. Oscar hesitated before saying, I heard from others that each branch of the Wisdom Palace has been equipped with a mountain of books and sea of knowledge, and they can simultaneously serve all spirit masters in the Wisdom Palace. Can we go to another branch of the Wisdom Palace to learn techniques? Compared to the mountain of books and sea of knowledge in other major cities' Wisdom Palaces, the facilities at the headquarters of Heavendao City's Wisdom Palace are indeed too outdated, which is the root cause they've been targeted for excuses. However, if they didn't have this excuse, Wisdom Palace wouldn't possibly find another way to deny them techniques, right? Yu Xiaogang glanced at Oscar, sighed, and explained, Oscar, the root cause isn't about the facilities of the Wisdom Palace, but that the Wisdom Palace doesn't want to open up to us. At the headquarters of the Heavendao City Wisdom Palace, it's the excuse of facilities that denies them entry to the mountain of books and sea of knowledge and shared information. This would likely be the case at other branches as well. If you want to read 50 chapters ahead, check out patreon.com/JohanLT. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.